You just moved to San Francisco?
And not San Francisco, the Bay Area. We're in Brentwood by Walnut Creek.
Really?
So
what moved you over there?
It's kind of a sad story to bring it down, but
really?
my wife's the only child.
Yeah.
And she's got a cousin who's an only child. And her cousin, her husband, went in for like a routine surgery, like a benign tumor. And they cut an artery.
What?
And he wasn't at a hospital. He was at like a same-day surgery center. So they didn't have enough blood to get back. So he went in a coma and the brain lost too much blood and he died. So they're suing the shit out of the hospital. But so now she's a single mom with 4 kids. Before it was a husband and wife.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. She was the breadwinner because she's the dean of a university. The husband was the football coach, the swim coach, the made dinner. The roles were reversed. He was still doing the manly things. So I told my wife, I said, I said, we can move if you want to. If you feel like she need help and support, I said, we can move. I said, I can live anywhere. I'm a comedian. And she's like, you serious? I said, yeah. So we moved like a mile down from her now. It's just so they got, my wife's there, I'm there now. And
that's kind of crazy. It's kind of exciting to move.
It is. We just drove the U-Haul cross country.
I saw that. I was following you.
Yeah.
I thought for some reason, I thought you were moving your friend out.
No, he just helped me drive. That's my road manager.
Yeah.
He just helped me drive.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So did you get to look for a new house? And
we had it built. We built the house.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So it's just
that's kind of funny shit.
Yeah, that's what I said. Everyone's like, why'd you drive a U-Haul? I was like, I never drove the 80.
Yeah.
There's only certain people you could drive that with. I go, my road manager, I can do it with. My wife, we would be divorced. I already know. I was like this. We wouldn't have made it. And he likes to drive. So he was just on the phone because he's a painter on the side. So he's just handling painting deals, talking. I was like, you want me to drive?
Really?
He goes, I'm good. It was 30, I think it was 35 hours of drive time. And I bet you he did 28. I did about 7.
Oh, I just was with my kids in the car the other night. My wife was drunk, which never happens. And I'm sober. I'm not drinking this month. Mm-hmm. And I drove home from a party and my daughters were like, I don't think I've ever seen you drive, Dad. I was like, really? And they're like, because I never drive. I don't normally drive. Like, even if we get in the car, my wife always drives. Today we went to go look at a house and my wife drove. Yeah. And I was like, but it's just a natural, I think it's one of those things, probably like your wife's cousin. I don't know. It's just the way our relationship fell into. Mm-hmm. Is that my wife's a driver. She likes being in control.
Well, I suck. I'm a terrible driver.
Really?
I hit something on the way in the U-Haul.
Did you really?
I hit an AutoZone sign. Like we stopped at Starbucks and I didn't realize how big the U-Haul was. And I made the left and I went right in the middle of Iowa. And Brad goes, watch it. And he went, and I went, fuck. So literally 3 guys from AutoZone walk out and they never acknowledge us. They just started looking at the sign, and I told Brad walked out and stood by him, and they never acknowledged him. I go, fuck it, let's go.
Yeah.
So we just backed out and left. When we left, they were still looking at the shit. Little overhang.
You know Bobby Kelly?
Robert Kelly?
Yeah, Robert Kelly.
The one from Tourgasm?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wait, you have such an interesting comedy career, because you're...
We started.
What? Yeah, we started. Yeah, we started. Yeah,
okay.
We started. Yeah. You have such an interesting comedy career because you really are kind of like out of the bullshit of it. Is that?
I'm out
sense?
the loop. Like I've never done the festivals. I'm not. I live in Ohio. I don't see a lot of stand-ups. Like I met you once on a plane.
Yeah.
Headed to Cincinnati, and it was weird when we met because we were both kind of looking at each other, and like, is he an asshole? Should I say hello?
You're so different than, like, I think at the time, I just was talking to Colleen Quinn about this in Omaha. I was saying there's a few guys that I know from the circuit, meaning like we all saw each other's pictures up whenever you'd go anywhere, and you felt like you knew them, but you never even met them. Mm-hmm. Like next week in Omaha, this week, I guess if this airs, John Morgan's there. I've never met John Morgan. I feel like I know that guy.
Yeah, I don't think
so many people have told me so many fucking stories. Jay Medicine Hat, remember that guy?
Yeah.
Dude, I've heard so many Jay Medicine Hat stories, and then when he died, I was like, God damn it, man. I'm going to miss him. I never even met the guy.
Yeah, I met him once.
Really?
Yeah. It was the same thing like we did. Like he goes, what's up, man?
Yeah.
So you're like, what's up? But you're like, I don't know him, but I know him. And then you're just kind of, I don't know, it's almost like you got gloves on. And then you just realize, oh, okay, he's cool.
But you have, like, and there are some guys who kind of do that, and they stay on the road, and they just kind of, that's their thing. But you kind of have still grown. Like, you're still in the business. It's not like your isolation hasn't isolated you from the business. You've always worked in the business.
Yeah. Well, I don't go to comedy clubs a lot. Like, I don't hang out at the store or the Improv or the Laugh Factory. And that, I mean, that's a story in itself, because when I first got out here, I did the whole wait in line to open mic. And I'll never forget, I did it like 3 weeks in a row. I finally got the call. You're showcasing for Mitzi tonight. This was 98. And so I went up, and there was 4 girls, and me went up. And I was the 5th one. And I know it sounds cocky and conceited, but I clearly had the best 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, oh, I'm good. But when I was on stage, I looked in the back of the original room, and Mitzi had the 4 girls around her talking to him. So she never saw my set.
Yeah.
So then I got done, and I called like a couple days later, and they was like, yeah, you're not a paid regular. You didn't make it. And I go, huh? And then I saw the other girls did. And I went,
really? And
I said, I will never, ever perform in that room. And I never have.
Really?
I said, I'll never go up. I was I said, because in my brain, I was like, I did everything you asked me to do. I stood in that line for 3 hours.
The one thing you didn't
weeks.
do was go up and suck ass to the person who's booking the room and distract from the show going on. Like, you didn't go up when the other girls were on stage like, hey, Mitzi, this is Gary. Nice to meet you. I just thought, and that is kind of bullshit that someone... Yeah, but that is in a weird way. That's Hollywood for you.
Yeah. And I just told, I've never been up. I've probably been in the Comedy Store 10 times in the last 15 years.
Really?
I don't know. Like, I come to, like you said, I'm in the loop, so I'll come to LA for meetings and auditions and stuff, but I don't go out. So I kind of just stay in my hotel room. It's a very isolated existence, kind of. But
but kind of nice. Like, I'm a lot probably closer to you than I am the regular LA comic, because they texted me today for spots, and I was like, yeah, I'm dadding the fuck up this week.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, but no one else does that. Everyone else is there every fucking night. I just don't have it in me, man. When you do the road the way me and you do, and I think me and you do it probably, I would say if you're not every week, you're 3 weeks a month.
Yeah. I have to call my agent and tell him when I want off, because I can't work every week. So I have to call him back. I don't want to work this weekend.
Sweet. Where did you start?
San Diego. I started with like Bobby Lee, Nick Cannon, Darren Carter, like that group, the late 90s in San Diego.
Really?
And it was weird because I had two different cliques, I call it, because the first time I ever went up to the Comedy Store, I'll never forget it. I wasn't 21, and I got a Sunday night spot. I was like one of the last people up, so it's like 1 a.m. There's probably 10 people in the audience, but there's like 15 comics in the back, and the comics started heckling me. And I was like, and it wasn't like heckle like you suck, but they were laughing at shit they shouldn't have laughed at and distracting from what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I was getting so frustrated because you got 5 minutes and you're nervous as shit. So I had a beer in my hand, and I'll never forget. I was like, hey, you guys in the back, keep heckling, because I'm only 20. I've been drinking this club all night. Why don't I call the cops and shut this fucker down? And when I say the lights went off, a guy came and literally out of a movie threw me out of the front of the Comedy Store, like grabbed the back of my shirt and threw me out. And I did like a front roll in front of the Comedy Store in La Jolla. And I got up and dusted myself off, and I said, well, I can't come back here, but I think I could talk shit. Yeah. Yeah. And I was banned for like a year, and I couldn't go back up. So by me being banned, it lit the fire like I want to be a stand-up. So I was in the Navy at the time. So
you were in the Navy?
Yeah, I was active duty. And so I was like, where can I go up? So a couple black guys that I was stationed with started telling me about all the hood spots. And so I would go there, and then I figured it out. I'd go to karaoke bars. Instead of singing songs, I would tell jokes. So it got to the point where I was like in the karaoke scene in San Diego, like, oh, that guy does stand up. He doesn't sing. So they got to know me. And then it was funny because Nick Cannon, I did this funniest black comedian in San Diego contest. I was listening to the radio, and I didn't say I was or wasn't black. I just called in. So when I got there, I entered and I won. So I was the funniest black comedian in San Diego. So it was kind of funny. Well, Nick Cannon was there, and his manager was there at the time. Nick was in a rap group called The Bomb Squad.
Yeah.
And so
what year is this?
This is 98.
Yeah, okay.
And his manager was like, yo, you're funny, man.
This is right before he started doing Nickelodeon, I bet.
Well, I'll tell you the whole story. This is how it all played out. So his manager goes, there's Guy Tori's Fat Tuesdays at the Comedy Store. So when I say I've never done the original room at the Comedy Store, I've done the main room. I would do Fat Tuesdays. I just wouldn't do the original room. And he goes, Guy Tori's doing it. He goes, I can get you on. And I was like, okay. So he got me on at Fat Tuesdays at the Comedy Store. And Nick rode up with us. And Nick was like 16, 17 years old at the time.
Yeah.
We get back that one time at the Comedy Store, Magic Johnson's people saw me. And Magic had that talk show called The Magic Hour that lasted like 6 months.
I remember that show.
So they was like, yo, Magic's looking for a sidekick. And they was like, they liked you. And I was like, really? Keep in mind, I've been doing stand-up like 6 months. I didn't have a lot of material.
Yeah.
And ended up, I think Craig Shoemaker became his sidekick on the show.
Yeah.
And I went and I came back to LA, drove up, met with Magic, came back down, didn't get the job. But I was editing a VHS tape of my act to send to Magic's people. Because I was making it up. Like literally I was having guys film me like that week. Like I got to get a highlight reel. I don't have one.
Oh, yeah.
So Nick came over with his manager and Nick goes, I think I'm going to start doing stand-up. And I go, you should. And it was like an epiphany, right? So Nick would start going up where I was going up, but he was doing other people's jokes because he didn't know.
Yeah.
And I go, Nick, you can't do that. That's so-and-so joke. He goes, oh yeah, I saw it last night on Confview. I thought it was funny. And I was like, oh no, you can't do that. He just didn't know.
Yeah.
So then he started honing his act. And we rode up together to Oakland, did the Bay Area Black Comedy Competition. And I'll never forget, Nick went up, and that's where some Disney reps was there, some Nickelodeon reps was there, and then Nick, that's how the groundswell started happening. Was that they had real execs back then.
Yeah.
That was
a different time in this business.
Yeah.
That's when you got discovered and you got like a $500,000 deal and you got pulled out.
Yeah. So that's how Nick. That's how he really got started and getting his name out there in the business was the Nickelodeon, the warm up, and that was the same year, 98, when 99 was the one festival I've done was Montreal in 99. And I don't know if you remember a guy named Chicken, Michael Roof.
Of course I remember Chicken.
I can't believe he committed suicide a couple years ago.
Dude, I got to be dead honest with you. If I was going to make a project, I'd make a documentary on that guy because I got my deal. I got my first deal when he got his deal.
In Montreal that year?
I got it. I wasn't even at Montreal. I got a deal through Overbrook, who had a deal with Nick Cannon at the time. Yeah. And I had a deal where that's the only reason I ever knew who Nick Cannon was that he had a deal at Overbrook when I had a deal at Overbrook. And David talked to him and was like, we got this kid Nick Cannon. He's like the next Will Smith. He's like good looking. He's hilarious. Mm-hmm. And so, but Chicken got his deal. Chicken got like a fat deal.
Off Montreal.
And he could not do stand-up.
I was there. I saw it all go down.
Wait.
It's crazy. Like I saw the Nick Cannon shit happen. Not happen, but I saw the execs in the way they looked. Yeah. They give you a look and they act like you're not around. You're just quiet in the room. They beeline it to the guy. And with Chicken was in Montreal, same was I did New Faces and bombed the bomb of bombs. Really? It was brutal. It was let me tell you about my Montreal experience. And we'll get into Chicken in a second, but I did New Faces, and I was the first guy on the first show of the festival. So I go up, it's like 6 p.m. It's daylight out. We're in this place called Club Soda.
I've been there. I performed there.
And I looked in the audience, and it was really old and really white. And, I'm kind of an urban guy.
Have you always been urban?
No, well, it was, I had to. Like I always say, I'm not pandering to my audience, but I'm playing to them. Because if I'm doing Showtime at the Apollo, I'm not talking about Garth Brooks. Yeah. And if I'm doing the West Virginia State Fair, I'm not talking about Lil Wayne. So I'm not pandering, but I'm making sure my material relates to that audience.
It's the same thing I do. I read the audience. Now it's a little different than when I first started, but yeah.
Yeah, when you're young. I mean, so I go up and Dom Herrera was hosting, and Dom didn't get a lot of laughs either. And I go, wow, they're not really laughing at Dom. And I was looking at Dom like almost a god. Like, I'm good. And then I went up there, and I was with CA at the time, and my agents at CA was like, I literally told them 5 minutes before on stage, I go, I'm gonna switch my act up. I go, they're not gonna get my jokes. Like, this isn't the audience. They go, no. You do the 5 minutes you've been working on. You trust us. We got TV execs here. You're just trying to get your point of view across. Don't worry about the laughter. When Don brought me up, I don't think anybody clapped. I didn't get a smile, a chuckle. I didn't get shit for 5 minutes. And I was like, an hour you can kind of get it. 5 minutes?
Yeah.
I literally walked off stage. I walked out the back of the club, and my CA agents at the time was like, they was telling my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, yo, we got these people who want to meet Gary. She goes, he ain't coming out. I know Gary.
Yeah.
And I walked 2 miles back to my hotel, and she stayed about 50 feet back from me because she knows I was pissed. I was like, I should have went with my gut. And then I had 2 days before I went up again. We had a day off. I didn't leave my room because I literally thought everyone would be like, that's the guy.
Oh.
That's the guy that bombed.
Dude, I've had that.
That's the guy.
I've had that.
So I stayed in my room, come back 2 days later, and so I got a new set written out. I'm ready to go. I know Montreal. I've been watching the news. I got some shit on the city.
Yeah.
And come to find out, everybody bombed.
Oh, yeah.
All 8 new faces was like, that fucking crowd. And I go, what? What happened? I didn't know it. They said, dude, we all bombed. And I went, oh. So now the second night was better. It's not like I killed, but it was average. And then Guy Torrey missed his flight. And they said, hey, can you stay an extra day to do the urban night? And I go, fuck yeah, I can. Like, that was my audience.
Yeah.
So I went up urban night, and that's where I got to deal with Quincy Jones out of Montreal. Quincy came up to me afterwards and just said, you're funny. And I was like, great. Get a phone call a week later. Said, Quincy wants to meet with you. So I go to his house. We meet, and he says, I saw all 4 of your sets.
Oh, my God.
You're like, I go, what?
No, there's another white guy. We all look alike.
Right. So this is what he said. He goes, I saw you bomb. He goes, then I saw you come back 2 days later and did better with a different 5 minutes. Then I saw you do the urban room, and you did 2 different sets that night. He goes, so I saw you do 4 different sets. He goes, and it was like a roller coaster. Like, you went down, but then you got yourself back up. He goes, and I saw you adjust. He goes, and that's what I liked. So the bomb actually helped me get the TV deal with Quincy. And even though the TV show didn't go anywhere, it was cool. Honestly, that was one of the best TV deals I had because I kept getting to go to Quincy Jones' house. And in the middle of trying to develop a TV show, I'm hearing these amazing stories of Michael Jackson and Frank Sinatra. And you know he's not lying.
Oh, yeah. He has
Like,
no reason
that
to.
guy. And there's stories I probably wouldn't share because I felt like, oh, he opened up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just to see like his house and like he had a wall of Grammys. Not like one. It was just a wall of nothing but Grammys. And just the stories that he opened up and shared with me, I was like, but Chicken, we were talking about Chicken, sorry I got sidetracked. Chicken, I saw him get the deal and he ripped. And then we had dinner right after he ripped that night. And he goes, yo, I've been waiting to meet you. Because he was like the other white guy doing the urban rooms.
Yeah.
And so we talked, and then he got the Hype, that show Hype on Fox was his
Him
show.
and Frank Caliendo.
And Shayma Tosh was on that. She was a San Diego comedian that came up with me and Bobby Lee. So she was on the show, and then he got Triple X.
Did Triple X.
Black Hawk Down, he had a small part.
He was on Black Hawk Down.
Yeah, so he was doing his thing. Like you keep tabs on those guys that you're in Montreal with, basically.
And then one day.
And then I was like, what? And then I remember asking somebody, whatever happened to him? Then somebody said, yo, he moved back to Georgia and he was like selling used cars is what I heard. And I was like, really?
No, he was from Florida. He was from
Florida, yeah.
Yeah, he was from like Dunellen or he was from not a bad, I say bad, but I grew up in Florida. And so it's like parts of Ohio, there's parts of Ohio that where you're like, oh, this is not really Ohio. This is more Kentucky.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's but he was from Florida, and I guess he was going back on the road.
He was starting to go back?
He was starting to go back on the road and was just like, fuck this. And hung himself.
Right?
Yeah.
In the woods?
I don't know.
Behind an elementary school or some shit, man. I was like,
so many of us, Chicken was for anyone listening, Chicken was such a pivotal part of this business because he represented the iceberg in the ocean that the industry ran into, and they gave him like a big deal. I think it was like $750,000, and his show didn't go anywhere. And that's when there was a plethora of channels. What was happening? A lot of things were happening at that time. There was a ton of channels, so there was like a ton of different networks, and they created. I put too much weight on this, but they created a camera called the GL1 and the XLR2. Canon did. I think those are the two exact names. I'm not certain, and what they could do is they could record film video on DV tapes. So all of a sudden, making television became extremely inexpensive. If you bought these two cameras, the XLR1 was like $5,000, and the GL2 was like $1,200.
So networks were buying them?
Production companies were.
Production companies were buying.
And so production companies were shooting stuff on them, and it looked like television. And it's, by the way, it's television that you know today. Is that same format. And as soon as that happened, it changed the game. And that's when reality was blowing up. And Chicken was the last guy, the last one that everyone goes, oh, they used to say he ruined the deal. Because after Chicken, they didn't give any more deals because
he wasn't ready, you think? For that?
I saw him, not to talk ill of the dead, but I was with Reno Collier. Remember Reno?
Yeah.
I was with Reno Collier at the Laugh Factory. Reno was friends with Chicken. And he went up to do a set in front of a packed house, all industry there to see him.
Chicken did.
Yeah, Chicken did. Anthony Clark had come over to see him. Anthony Clark was sitting on the top.
Right.
And man, it was
brutal.
Really uncomfortable. Like, it was a clear... Like, there are guys like, this is going to seem like a slam, it's not, but like Nick Swardson at the time was very high energy and goofy and silly, but he had great jokes.
Yeah.
He had really great jokes. So you were like, even with all that silliness, you still went, I wish I had written that. And Chicken just was like, you guys seen Titanic? I want to be in Titanic. I want to be the girl though. And like, he just stood on a stool and then like, it was just, there was nothing there. And he had a lot of attitude. Like,
well, his set in Montreal was it was the opposite of that. He got set up perfect.
Really?
Like, the person before him was low energy and the material was okay.
Yeah.
And he just came out like boom. Like, almost like the crowd, like, we want some high energy, but they weren't getting it yet.
Yeah.
And he came out, he was dancing, and he literally, when the audience started grinding on this woman and she ate it up, and the crowd, and they just and took off. Honestly, my deal out of Montreal, my TV show with Quincy, if it would have went, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to be the lead of a sitcom.
I had to deal with Will Smith. If that had taken off, I was definitely not ready, because not only that, I had like 5 opportunities after that I wasn't ready for.
I have one of the worst. I guarantee I have one of the worst stories about losing your own TV show off a table read.
I'd like to hear that.
I had a deal with Yvette Lee Bowser and Warner Brothers about 2001.
Who's Yvette Lee Bowser?
Yvette Lee Bowser created Living Single.
Okay.
And created the one with Holly Robinson Pete. She's had about 3 shows in syndication.
Yeah.
Living Single was the big one though. Right?
Living Single was with Queen Latifah?
Yeah, and Kim Fields and Overton. So I had a deal with her. So the networks passed, but we didn't take it to like UPN and WB. We thought we're going with the big networks with this one.
Yeah.
But then UPN wanted to see it, and UPN really wanted to be in business with Yvette. So she goes, okay, we're going to take it to UPN, but we're going to have it cast it. We're going to have it ready to go. So when they say yes, we're ready to go.
Yeah.
So we do the table read. So Holly Robinson Pete's playing my wife. Essence Atkins was the sister. It was a good cast. And I never did a table read before. So I thought you had to memorize the script. I didn't know you just read the script.
Oh my God.
So I'm literally for a week studying this script, and I thought it was like an audition.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm ready. So we go in, and I'm in 80% of the scenes. So I got my shit closed. Like, I'm ready to go. We got to about page 8.
Oh my God.
I started to stumble, and I went,
I'm fucking uncomfortable.
So I'm literally scrambling to find what page we're on. And I'm like this. This is when I also knew everyone's they won't tell you if you're terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I blew it. It was awful table read. I was the weak link, and And we get done and everybody clapped. Great job, everybody. Great job. I go into Yvette's office and she goes, what happened? And I go, I didn't know you were allowed to read it. I thought you had to memorize it. So I thought I had to, I've been spending all week trying to memorize 35 pages of dialogue.
Yeah.
And then she
not
goes,
running it with anybody.
Not running with anybody, right? So long story short, they casted Jason Bateman as Gary Owen.
Really?
And luckily, the pilot didn't go anywhere because in the midst of them, UPN was like, we got this other show we want you to do. And she ended up doing the other show with, God, I think it was called, Holly Robinson Peete was in it.
I know this show.
I can't remember. It was on for 5 years on UPN.
Yeah, I know.
Chico Bennyman was in it. The girl. For Your Love. Yeah, thank you. For Your Love.
Were you a
that
big
was the
UPN
show.
fan?
That was the show she ended up doing. So my show, and I go, what happens if my show goes? And she goes, well, we're going to ask for you to be back on it. But if not, you'll still get like based on the stand-up and a created by credit.
Oh.
I said, and I remember thinking at the time, Jason Bateman, what the fuck's he been doing?
Yeah. And now you look at him and
like
you're
2001, he literally, I was like, you got Jason Bateman? Where's he been? You know, I remember thinking that. But I was lost my own TV show. Off the table read.
So wait, when did you grow up in Ohio?
Cincinnati.
You grew up in Cincinnati.
All over. You know, I grew up in a trailer park. That's not a lie in my act.
Yeah.
It was Island Lake Drive Mobile Community in McGonigal, Ohio. Is where I grew up.
Wow.
It's right out. It sits in between Hamilton and Oxford, Ohio, where Miami of Ohio's at, the university.
Yeah.
So my high school was a bunch of farmers, trailer parks, and then college professor kids. It was a weird dynamic.
Because
it was an odd dynamic. So even though we were probably one of the poorest school districts, it didn't come across like that because it was the statistics were messed up because we had so many college professor kids at the school, but 80% of the school was broke kids.
Really?
Know?
So did you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I got 6.
What?
6, but none of them were full. My mom and dad had me in high school. So I had two brothers. One passed away a couple years ago of a heroin overdose.
I heard about
other brothers
that.
in prison for using and dealing heroin. So my 2 brothers are kind of gone. One's dead and one's in prison.
Really?
Yeah.
And then you have sisters too, and they're.
I got I got one. Yeah, the girls ended up okay. I got my dad's side. He's fine. He married. My 2 sisters went to college. They played soccer. One went to Oakland University in Detroit, and the other one went to Findlay University in Findlay, Ohio. One's an engineer with General Motors, and the other one is like a guidance counselor or something. They're fine. They're doing
How did you
good.
stay out of drugs?
I don't know. Like, you grow up. Have you heard the book Hillbilly Elegy by J.D. Vance? It's a pretty good book. You should read it. Ron Howard's about to do a movie on it.
Oh, really? What's it called?
I might be mispronouncing it, but it's Hillbilly Elegy by J.D. Vance.
I'm gonna my wife grew up in a trailer, but they didn't. And it wasn't a trailer park. Like, she grew up poor and rural, so it was just
They put the trailer on land.
Yeah,
some land.
and so it was a house.
Yeah,
but when you went there, you're like, oh, this is a trailer.
Yeah. They tried put a front porch on it.
Yeah, and you're like,
little garden.
Yeah. Oh, and you added on to your trailer. Okay, that's fine. No, but this is a trailer. We got that, right? It's so funny. My buddy Russ Matthews, his family had money, but they were, they started. I think a lot of people in the South were like, had money, but still grew up poor and still looked at the world poor. But although they had money, I think they probably had money when his dad was growing up. But his dad, their lake house was a trailer, but they had added on to it. But it was a trailer. In essence, they had cut the front off the trailer. It was Hillbillyology. My wife would love something like this.
J.D. Vance. But it's an insight into the mentality of where I grew up. Because he grew up in Middletown, Ohio, which is right next to where I grew up in Oxford, Cincinnati area.
Hillbilly Elegy.
By J.D. Vance. It was like on the New York Times bestsellers for like a year.
All right, I'm going to forward this to my wife.
But I read it and I was like, oh, it gave me an insight of how I grew up and how I avoided drugs, because he grew up in a similar environment than I did, where I just got lucky, man, because I chose the right friends to hang out with in school.
Yeah.
So, my brothers, even though they probably never admit it, but, we had an abusive stepdad, which is their real dad. And he was mentally abusive. I mean, I was able to navigate through the world pretty good. Because I got
the oldest?
Yeah, I was a stepson too.
Yeah.
So I was early on, I got hit a couple times and saw the anger, and I went, okay, I gotta figure this out so I don't get beat up. So I was like, I figured it out. I figured out how to navigate around him to not trigger him to go off, Because there was a Christmas morning that is awful. So I'm 10, my brother's 2, the one that passed away. So he wakes me up and says, Gary, Santa Claus came. So I go, okay. So we get up out of bed, and there's presents under the tree. I said, okay, we can't open the presents yet, but we can get in the stockings. So he's like, okay. So he's 2. We don't know. So he's got his stocking out. He's playing, and I got my stocking down, and there was these old NFL sticker books, and I had some NFL stickers was in my stocking. So I'm just putting the stickers in my sticker book. And my stepdad wakes up, and he comes over and just open hand, doesn't say nothing, just smacks me off this bar stool. Bam! And I fly off, and he goes, you fucking ruined Christmas! So I run to my room, and I'm crying, and I got this fucking red mark on my cheek. So I'm lost. I don't know what I did.
Yeah.
So my mom, about 30 minutes later, goes, Gary, you can come out. Rod's not mad anymore. So I come back out, and now my little sister's there, my brother's there. It looks like a normal Christmas, like it never happened. And he goes, I did that, right? And I went, yeah. I got no fucking clue why you did it.
Yeah.
Right? Well, come to find out, he didn't get to see his son's face when he saw the presents under the tree. And I was like, well, he woke me up, But that was his reason for smacking me and ruining Christmas, was he didn't get to see his son's face. And my thing was, when my brother woke me up, I was thinking I wanted to let them sleep, my mom and stepdad, because I figured they were up putting these gifts out, acting like Santa Claus is coming. I hope you don't have any 8-year-olds. I'm ruining Christmas.
No,
now.
My daughters just found out, and they're fucking 14 and 12. Oh, we have ruined my kids.
Yeah. So that was from that 10 years old. I was like, okay, I know what triggers him, and then, so I was like, I was able to navigate around getting hit.
Shitty way to be a kid, though.
Yeah, there was a lot of instances where he was, he just did a lot of irrational behavior. I call it like I could go on and on. But the thing about it is, they say all good comedy comes from pain, and your comedy is your defense mechanism. That's our Superman cape.
Yeah.
And I never looked at it like that. I thought, I'm just funny. I didn't go through anything. Then when my brother died, I had to really take a look at myself and be like, oh shit, my stand-up was the reason I didn't do drugs. Me making kids laugh in high school and being a class clown.
Yeah.
That's what it was for me. I didn't gravitate to drugs and alcohol. I was like, I just want to make people laugh. And going to school was my escape. So I didn't want to do anything to not be in school. The reason I played sports was I sucked. I sucked at football, wrestling, baseball. I was pretty much terrible in everything. I was good enough to make the team, but not really make an impact on the team.
Yeah.
So maybe I didn't suck. Maybe I was average. But I just did it so I didn't have to come home, And I was like, okay, anything to keep me out of the trailer and him, because it was like a dark...
Did he drink?
Play. Yeah, he drank. But he was in a good mood when he drank. I think the drinking took his pain away, and he was a nice guy when he drank. It was the opposite.
And then when he didn't drink, he was nasty.
Sober. Oh, he was a, and his thing was, you don't know what rough is. And I'm sure your childhood was rougher than mine. I have no doubt. But, he always looked at it like, Gary ain't that bad.
Did your mom and him stay married?
They're still together. She'll never leave him.
Really?
I've offered numerous times. I said,
how are you and him now?
I haven't spoken to him or my mom in probably 4 years since my brother passed.
Oh, really?
I wasn't speaking to him before, and because I did an article on BuzzFeed, and it was an 8-page article on how there's a white guy that's huge in the black stand-up circuit, and how did that happen? The article was, how is a white guy one of the largest urban acts in the country. How did that happen?
That is a great question.
Yeah.
That I would love to get to the bottom of. because there's like, not to derail this, because I want to keep talking about your mom and dad. Don't let me not go in that direction. But there's a guy in my life, his name's Myles Mosley, who for some reason has just, black people have always loved him. Like our freshman year, he got put, there were 2 floors of boys. One was black and one was white. Freshman year of college. White
in the
was
dorms?
Yeah, in the dorms. They say, I know that sounds crazy that people are like, that's impossible. It's very possible.
It's a Florida State?
Yeah, Florida State. They had segregated the 2 floors. That floor was also, they were all football players. They were all there for summer school and playing football. And we were all just dumb white kids who were there for summer school because we couldn't get in. They read, I always say they misread his name, Myles Mosley, and thought he was black and put him on the black floor. But he was the one white guy on the black floor. And man, to this day, I've never seen a guy be adored more by black people in general other than you. Like, and so I'm always curious to that, because I always want black people to like me, but I feel like I'm always trying too hard, and they can sniff it out. They're like, we get it. You still sing the N-word. We get it. Like, you know, but so wait, go back to, so the BuzzFeed article came out, and did you say something about your parents?
Well, yeah, it's an 8-page article, and a paragraph of it, the guy says, I said, my stepdad's an asshole. I said, my stepdad's an asshole. And I didn't really get into it, but that's what they grabbed. That was the first time I think somebody had let the cat out the bag. Like, you spoke against Rod.
Oh,
and
fuck.
You got to, you know, and my mom said my mom started talking to me, and what happened was she came home, and my one brother that died, he was the one that was still talking to me. He's like, we're good. You know, regardless of the bullshit, we're good. And my other brother, the one's in prison, now he came at me like, how dare you embarrass mom and this family and everything. And
you're like,
and my mom, trailer park. Right, that's why I said, and your stepdad was in prison. How did I embarrass the family? I'm employed.
Yeah.
You know? And then he said, my mom, I guess, came home and had said, I can't believe I gave birth to this monster, talking about me, and said, I want all his pictures taken down in the house, and he is dead to me.
Dude, that's redneck elegy right there.
Right.
Because that's what happened to my wife. My wife,
with her family,
crossed her mom, and her mom burned all her childhood pictures.
Well, you know what it comes from. Where's your wife from?
Georgia
Georgia
on the border of Alabama.
That mentality is, you know, what happens in a house stays in a house. And you're not allowed to talk about it to anybody.
Yeah.
And if you do, you're ostracized from the family, regardless of right or wrong. And they come up with this alternative reality that they're like, no, it goes the whole blood thicker than water, family over everything. No.
Yeah.
You have crazy family members. And you got 2 ways to deal with it. You can talk about it, go to therapy, get help, and open the lines of communication and admit you weren't perfect and work on it, or you can just stay in denial and be like, no, you're not going to speak on him, and then you're exiled from the family. And that's what happened. That's where it came from. You know what I mean? The one paragraph in a BuzzFeed article, and that was it. And then my brother dies, and when he died,
did you go to the funeral?
Yeah, my mom finally called me. Hadn't talked to her in about a year. She calls me, and then you try to make up. You try, but it still was. It was there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what happened was there was a custody battle for my brother's daughter, and the guardian ad litem, who was in charge of the daughter. You know what that means? The courts assign a lady who's impartial. Her job is to figure out baby mama or my mom and stepdad get the baby. So she's impartial. And she called me. She sent me a Facebook message. She said, I know this sounds weird, but I'm actually in charge of this custody battle that I don't know is going on. And she goes, I just found out, are you Dallas Randall's brother? Because we got different last names.
Yeah.
And I messaged her back. I said, yeah. She goes, is it possible for us to meet for coffee or at a public place? I had no idea you were related to him. So I meet with her, and she basically says, you know, there's a custody battle going on. There's no picture of you in the house. I've been at your mom's house like 15 times. Yeah. And the only thing she ever said is my oldest son left home when he was 17. And that's all she brought up. And she goes, I'm not comfortable with either household getting this baby. She goes, so I think I might recommend an emergency removal. If that happens, she goes into foster care. And I said, that can't happen. I'll take her if that's what you're getting at.
Yeah.
So I told my wife, and he's like, yeah, we'll take her. So we go to a Target and get a car seat. We're getting our house ready because we think they're going to remove it. The judge said, baby's not in any physical danger. You know, she's going to stay where she's at. But my mom and stepdad saw my name signed, I will take her if they remove her.
Oh,
this all happened
Jesus.
in less than a day. So I don't have time to call my mom and tell what's going on.
Yeah.
So from that, it went, oh, Gary's trying to get custody of the baby behind our back. And really, we were the best option for the baby.
Oh, yeah.
Literally, the guardian ad litem came to our house and goes, I want to stay here. I'd rather stay at this house. She goes, this is a lottery ticket for the baby.
Yeah.
So, but the text messages I got and the phone calls were so evil from my side of the family. I had to call my wife and say, we can't go after custody. I said, they're going to fuck up our kids. And I said, if we take this 2-year-old at the time, I go 10 steps forward with us, every time they go to them, they're going to start putting shit in their brain like, your dad, and you know, Gary's this and my wife's this, and he's going to take 7 steps back. And I go, I just can't risk fucking up my kids and my family.
Yeah.
And it sucks because there's a little girl out there that, you know, she's got to have a hell of a spirit and a resolve to get out of that. And it can happen. I mean, I'm a testament.
Yeah.
But it just sucks because she's my niece, and I can't risk my own family's peace of mind and safety, honestly.
That's fucking crazy. So did you leave home at 17?
Yeah, I turned 17. Yeah, I joined the Navy right after high school.
Just join the Navy?
Yeah,
Shut
immediately.
the fuck up. You know, that's like I only hear about that in movies.
No, my mom had to sign off to say I could go.
Really?
'Cause you got to be 17 to join it. You got to be 17. And I know it sounds crazy. I joined the Navy to be a stand-up because I didn't take the SAT. I didn't take the ACT. I just said, I told people in high school, my guidance counselor, I said, I'm going to be a stand-up. I'm going to be a stand-up. And they said, you're not going to college? I said, no, I don't need that. I'm going to be a stand-up. And my thought process was, if I join the Navy, they have the big bases in California. And I thought all of California was LA. I thought David Lee Roth, California Girls, the whole state is LA.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, I get stationed in San Diego, and then I can start doing stand-up. So my first 2 years, I was in the honor guard in Washington, D.C. We did the funerals and parades.
Ooh.
And even then, I was telling people, I'm going to be a stand-up.
Yeah.
I was telling people, like, Martin was on at the time. I go, I'm going to have a show like that. And I remember a bunch of us Navy guys sitting around one night, and they was like, what if you won $1 million, like the lottery? And guys was like, I tell the Navy, kiss my ass, I do this. I said, I'm going to make $1 million.
Yeah.
Guys, they go, how the fuck are you going to do that? I go, stand up. I'm going to make $1 million. Like, it was like, there wasn't a doubt.
Yeah.
And then my first day in San Diego, I finally get out here. So I'm in the honor guard for 2 years. I go to the police academy because I was a cop, a military cop. I went to the police academy in San Antonio, Texas. I get out to San Diego. So I'm active duty military, but I'm doing stand up on the side. So I call this place called the Comic Castle in San Diego. And I say, hey, you guys got open mic? He goes, hold on, let me check. And I go, huh? So he gets on the phone 5 minutes later. He goes, I can't find him. And I go, what do you mean you can't find him? He goes, I can't find, who's he with? I called a comic book store. This dude was looking for a superhero named Open Mike.
Oh my God.
And I'm lost. I'm like this. What are you talking about? And then he goes, what are you talking about?
What's he do?
Right. He goes, I can't find him on the Hall of Justice or nothing.
Yeah.
And then, so he tells me, he goes, man, no, this is a comic book store. So then he gives me the number to the comedy store in La Jolla. And then I called, and that's what happened when I got thrown out. Like a week, you know, it took me like 2 weeks to get on stage calling because Sunday nights was open mic. But that's where I saw Bobby Lee and Darren Carter my first night up. And that's why I said when I started doing stand-up, I was two different worlds. I had the urban side where I would do the black rooms and the karaoke spots and shit. But then I'd still sit in the back of the comedy store. I just pay admission and watch these guys.
Oh, yeah.
And then I had to go back after I got banned for a year. Mm-hmm. I went back and finally begged. I said, hey, I've been doing stand-up, and I know all your guys now, and I think they can vouch for me. I said, I fucked up. I shouldn't have did that. I said, but I'm sorry. And the guy that was running the comedy store at the time was I think his name was Fred. He had the crutches. He didn't walk right. He like won the $100,000 on America's Funniest Home Videos. All the San Diego comics knew him. Yeah. Bobby Lee knows him, Darren Carlin, but I can't remember his name. But he was the gatekeeper of La Jolla. You had to get through Fred to get through, and he finally said, "All right, I'm gonna give you 5 minutes on Sunday, and if you're funny, then you can start coming back. If not, that's it." So luckily, he thought my 5 minutes was funny, and he goes, "All right, Gary, you're good," and I ended up having a great relationship with everybody over there after that.
Wow. So wait, how did you get out of the Navy? I don't know anything about military service at all.
Well, when I got to San Diego, I had 4 years left on my enlistment. So
when you sign up, what did they give you? Like 8 years?
4. I signed up for 4.
Oh, yeah.
Then I went to the police academy, and I had to do a 18 or 19-month extension because once you graduate the police academy, they need 3 years out of you because they basically spent money on training you to be a cop.
Yeah, and so
they
want
their 3
years.
You could
go over and be a regular cop.
Most guys are going to be a regular cop coming out of the military like that. And so I still had, when I got to San Diego, I still had at least 3 years of active duty service left. But I'm doing stand-up on the side while I'm there. And I finally went up to LA. I found out where they were having BET Comic View auditions. So at this time, I'm usually getting off work at about 4, and I'm driving to LA to do like 5 minutes anywhere I could. A Comedy Act Theater, Mavericks Flat, any hole in the wall bars.
I look back at that. I look back at that time in my life and go, "What? I couldn't do it now."
Well, you're older now.
I know, but like I look back at that and go, "What was wrong with me?"
See, I'm different, Bert.
Oh,
I miss it.
I don't miss that.
I miss the adrenaline rush of calling the club and be like, "Yeah, you got 5 minutes, Gary." What? I'm on the list? It was like, holy shit. And I used to lie. I used to get off work at like 4:30, go straight from work, I had a S10 Chevy pickup, drive up to LA for whatever 5-minute spot I could get, and then drive back down. I got to be back at work 6 a.m. And I would sleep. There was it was either a Walmart or a Kmart in Dana Point. So if I ever got tired, I knew that was a safe neighborhood. Yeah. And I know I could pull my pickup truck in there and sleep for like a half hour just to get home. But then I started lying to guys that I was in the military with. I would lie to them and be like, "Yo, I saw Jim Carrey last night. I saw Chris Rock last night." No, they're always there. They're like, "Dude, I'm going to ride with you." They just want to see celebrities. Then we get there and be like, "Dude, I didn't see nobody." I go, "Weird night."
Weird night. It's off. It's off tonight. Yeah.
It's not like we was at the comedy store. I was like, "Oh, weird night." You know, we was like at Dublin's.
God damn.
But I would do that 3 days out of the week, and then the weekends I would always come up and just stay on people's couches, just to get my name out there. But I that was, to me, I don't have the feature and hosting road stories where you're on the road for a month making $300 a week and then you come back to LA with $1,200 or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I was active duty, I couldn't do that. But I felt like I quote unquote paid my dues by those drives.
Oh, those
3 or 4 days out of the week.
Whatever whatever paying your dues means. I know that. I think that was Chicken's biggest hiccup, was that there were people in LA who didn't feel like he paid his dues. There were people who were going up every night at the Improv that had never heard of him and didn't feel like he paid his dues, but he paid his dues in a different way. But I think that was the slight on him, was that he didn't pay his dues. I know that that's what people hold over everyone's head. Mm-hmm. Oh, you never paid your dues. Dude, anyone who's driving fucking 2 hours to go do 5 minutes.
4 hours because you're up and back.
Yeah, back and forth. I paid my dues in like 19 different ways. And I really honestly think that's why most comics don't begrudge my success. Like they go, and I'm not saying I'm like super fucking successful, but they go, "Oh, if it can happen for Bert, it can happen for me." You know, because I worked the door at the Boston Comedy Club. I fucking hosted. I featured. I headlined B clubs. I did all the shit. I had kids when I was poor. Like all the shit that is that happens to comics, and then people go, "Oh, that guy's a failure." That all happened to me. And then I had a TV show. I got fired from it. Had to start all over from scratch. Like 3 times that happened to me.
Yeah.
And so I think most people are like, "Oh, I'm glad that." I think they go, people always like to be able to judge themselves. Like, that's why I just read this article about this woman saying, they said Nora Ephron, the big, she did like, I think, I don't know who she has, to be dead honest with you, but I know the name. But she didn't get famous or start working until she was 51. And then people are going, oh, I'm 41. That makes sense for me.
Yeah.
I think people like those stories. I know I do.
Who doesn't?
Gene Hackman didn't get famous until he was 51.
What? Morgan Freeman didn't get a leading role till he was like 50.
Oh my God.
Lean on me.
That is the second time we've had that conversation. And the other time was when Finesse Mitchell said the same thing. I said Gene Hackman. He said Morgan Freeman.
Oh, yeah, I'm a black comic.
Yeah. So wait, so how did that start?
Oh, the blacks thing?
But no, but more so, like I can see a natural progression to working urban rooms.
This is what I always say. You don't, as a stand-up, you don't choose your audience; they choose you.
The bookers.
Yeah, but my breaks. You gotta realize my breaks. It was all black shit. It was BET's Comic View. Every movie I've been in had a black lead actor.
Yeah.
Every TV show I was on, it was a black sitcom.
But how does that start? Like, so you go and do open mics, and you're just doing regular open mics.
But I'm doing I'm doing all the urban open mics. I'm not.
In New York there wasn't a huge difference. There was one night in New York.
LA was different. I never did New York.
In New York there were urban rooms in New York that you'd have to seek out. But like the Boston Comedy Club was predominantly urban every night you went up. And so like I remember doing an urban night. What was it, like chocolate Mo Better Mondays?
At the Improv.
Yeah, D-Ray was running it.
Yeah.
And I remember going up there and not noticing a huge difference between that and New York, and just doing the same material I did normally, but then realizing, oh, this audience is very different than the New York audience. Like
Yeah.
you could get by with anything, taxi cab, like anything that just happened to all of us.
Yeah.
So, dude, I got to be honest with you. It's a big change in the way I started doing stand-up was around that time. I've oversaid this, but like I went up and I did like just a regular show, and then I was just honest. I remember the joke that got laughs that night was
You're talking about the D-Ray room, the urban
D-Ray room. I went up and I told a joke about Queer Eye for the Straight Guy and how they looked like a Duran Duran reunion band, and it got nothing. And I went, oh, I forgot the room I was in, and then it got a laugh, and I went, oh, there's more of you in here than I thought. And then it got a bigger laugh. I go, oh, you guys are sitting in the back too? And it got a big laugh. And then I just went into like regular material, but I kept going back to anything failed, fucking with the audience. And that was just that's a New York thing, in that if you just kept it real, and it was fine. But to go from like open mic to like I will have said this in the intro. But you are literally one of the biggest acts in the country, but more so one of the biggest urban acts. But by and far, the largest white comedian to ever perform in front of black people, ever.
Yeah.
No one will ever get that opportunity. It will never happen again. It is an anomaly. It is an anomaly that every comic respects, notices, and is like, but how? Like, how does that fucking happen?
I know.
How does it happen on the road aspect? Like when you go and do Richmond for the first time, how do black people find you? Yeah. And then when you and more importantly, how does it happen with you? Like, do you that's impossible for Daniel Tosh. That would never happen for Daniel Tosh because he just didn't know that many black people.
Yeah.
But like, did you grow up knowing black people?
No. I mean, obviously you know black people, but I don't even, man. I remember watching Def Jam and saying that's the reaction I want when I do. Before I'd ever told a joke, I remember I would watch stand up and I would go, I'm funnier than him, or I'm funnier than her, and then I'd see guys that were good and I go, oh, that guy's good.
Yeah,
and I had never been on stage yet, and then I remember seeing Def Jam. Like I just knew. Like
stand up's the only thing in the world that people do that with. They never do that with basketball, with track and field.
Yeah. Like I remember I was a junior in high school and I don't this sense of like calm came over me because I'm in this chaotic household, got this abusive stepdad, and I remember thinking I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be on TV. I'm gonna be a stand-up.
That's
like
fucking
like
crazy.
in me, like this sense of calm, like You're fine.
Yeah.
You're gonna be fine. You just got to get out of the house. That's what I kept saying. I just got to get out of high school, and I gotta get out of the house. And the Navy said, we can get you out of here next week. I was like, in.
Yeah.
I can get to California
And
eventually.
so in the Navy, did you hang out with just whoever?
Everybody.
Like, it wasn't just black dudes.
No, everybody.
I think people assume you grew up with black guys.
No.
You only hung out
If
with
you see
black
my high school, everybody's like, you went there? It is FFA. It's Future Farmers of America.
Yeah.
It's 4-H. It's, I just went to my high school last week to go to a high school football game. There's one black guy on the team. There's one black guy.
Yeah.
And he moved into the district. He didn't grow up there.
Yeah.
And they got him playing everything.
Yeah.
That kid is the wide receiver, the running back. I think he threw the ball to himself at one point. But I saw Def Jam and I go, that's the reaction I want.
Yeah.
So maybe in a subconscious way, my stand-up was always going to head that way, to do racial humor. But, I got on Comic View, and then, I can't explain it either, man. It's just, I can only say, like, the TV appearances I had was Def Jam, was Showtime at the Apollo, was BET's Comic View. Comedy Central has always said no. I've never been on Comedy Central. HBO's always said no. Netflix has always said no. But for whatever reason, Showtime's always, the last 5-6 years, always said, yeah, you can do it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I can't, when I go to cities, I'm doing all the urban radio stations. I wish you
But when
could
you
say
first
it.
started headlining, that first round of offers where you start going on the road, did they know you were going to sell urban?
Because my first round was me hosting Comic View, and it was like I was the first white. They say host, but I'm the first on-air personality on that network.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started getting offers, and I wasn't getting improvs. I was getting, they call it the Chitlin circuit, but I was getting the black rooms, the Virginia House of Comedy, the what is it?
I do
the comedy houses in Columbia and Augusta.
I do the one in
Savannah.
Baltimore.
The Baltimore Comedy Festival.
Yeah.
Oh, that's one of my biggest markets.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Cleveland Improv.
It's the
Cleveland Improv.
Houston
Houston Improv. Yeah.
I do 2 weeks there. I'm doing 2 weeks there in 2 weeks.
Really?
I was like, I don't want to do 18 shows in one weekend, so I'll do back-to-back weekends instead.
Now, do you go home?
I'll go home in between Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'll come back on Thursday.
Crazy.
So I'll just do 2 weekends, Houston, instead of doing 3 shows Saturday, 3 shows Friday, 3 shows Sunday.
But I don't. I'm just for the
let
listener.
me ask you this: being a mainstream comic,
Yeah.
like you are, is it? I sometimes think, I don't know. Some of the white comics look at me like, oh, he's just pandering and.
No.
I don't know how they look at me. I don't
No,
know.
the only videos I've ever seen of you online, but it's only that I'd get into is always you dealing with hecklers. Like that's just more my, like, I don't go and watch people's acts. It's like,
Yeah.
like I'll just go and watch people. But I don't think anyone thinks that. I think people go like fuck. I honestly think most people go, how did that happen?
Yeah,
It just is a weird, like, because what happens in this business, I say this for people listening, but when you do when you do one city weekend back to back, that is a huge testament to your appeal, usually with your people. Like Fluffy does it. Fluffy does Ontario. I remember when I first started, Fluffy would do Ontario. Gabriel Iglesias would do Ontario. Weekend of back to back, just back to back weekends, and then it started going like back to back weekends, and he'd also do shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Yeah.
and
Joe
then
Coy.
2 shows on Joe Coy,
Killing
and it's just Russell Peters, but to be the guy from the outside doing it, the guy that's not, but to have love in a culture
that's not yours.
that's not yours is almost it's unheard of.
Yeah,
Especially with black people. This is the fucking thing I'll say about black people. And I know they're listening. They are not the best audiences. Predominantly, they are not the most like forgiving audiences. Now, if you're a crossover act and you're black and you play just to white audiences, totally get it. It is so hard being a white comic performing in front of black people. It just is so, they dislike you the second you get on stage.
See?
Not you.
Okay, Bert, let me try to correct you on that one. I always say black audiences have no skeletons in the closet.
Okay.
And I think a lot of times white comics, they get intimidated because it is a black audience.
Hardcore.
But like you said, what I've noticed, if you go up there and you're yourself, you do the same material, I don't care how you deliver it, do the same material. And if it doesn't work, acknowledge it. That's all they want. I think black audience, they just be like, hey man, you're flawed, you're human, we get it. And it's almost, I look at it, I always looked at it like, I've never been like judged or had backlash on the internet, social media, from black people because of a racial joke or a special needs joke or anything like that.
Yeah.
The only people. Why do I do a racial joke and the white guy's offended? I'm like, why are you offended? The black people aren't.
Dude.
And I'm like this. I had to go to DC and meet with special needs advocates because I did a Special Olympics joke, and I had Maria Shriver and all these advocates coming after me because I said that we're retarded on stage. And I went, you're going to have to go after every comic eventually.
They are actually.
You know what I mean?
They definitely are. They went after my buddy Tom Segura.
Yeah, they went
aggressively.
After me. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's That's.
I was just what I realize is those groups like that, they just hone in and you get in their crosshairs and they're like, and really when it comes to, they just want money. They want a donation.
Yeah.
They wanted to say they won because the best the best was this one lady sent me a tweet or a DM and she was like, I can't believe you did that. I have a special needs son. He's the biggest blessing. He's given me so much joy, and I hope karma kicks you in your ass. And one day you have a child that has special needs. So I said, so you want me to have joy and the greatest blessings in life? Is that what you want?
Oh, that was
and
fucking...
She sent me back. She goes, fuck you. That's what she said.
That's fucking crazy that she would say how happy she is and then hope that you...
But you know what it is?
Yeah.
And they don't want to admit it. And this is the honest God truth. Me dealing with these advocates and special needs, when I had to go through that shit I went through.
When did that happen?
2 years ago.
And what happened? Did you tell a joke in your Showtime special?
I have a special needs cousin. I have a retarded cousin.
Yeah.
And I said it real low. I have a retarded cousin. Special needs. And I've talked about her in my act numerous times. And I've changed the name. I don't want to say her name, but in my act, her name's Tina.
Yeah.
It's not a real name. But and I talk about Tina a lot. Like she's a big part of my life, especially when people come to see me. They're like, how's your cousin Tina doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they I talked about, and this is a true story. We're at a family reunion and my cousin got a STD. And the whole family was like, can you believe that? Can you believe she got an STD? And I'm going, she's fucking?
Yeah.
That was my thing. Like who gave it to her?
Yeah.
And then found out her boyfriend's special needs. So he gave it to her. So he's fucked somebody else. So I do this whole joke about how was the courting? How did they get into bed?
Yeah.
It's not brilliant humor, but it's funny. And they got wind of it and they just came after me. I was the perfect level of celebrity because I wasn't big enough that I could just be like, fuck you.
Yeah.
But I was big enough that it would create they could get some media off of it.
Really?
And I had to fly to DC and meet with these people and all their advocates. And what I came to realize is from the parents that sent me ugly messages and everything, I think what it is the parents of special needs kids, they probably feel shortchanged. They're probably like, I did everything right in my life. And now, even though I love this son or daughter, now I'm with this person for the rest of my life. Then there's no 18, there's no 21 you're leaving home. You're with this person. And I think they're frustrated to some extent. They love them and that's their kid, I get it. But there's some frustration there and they don't know where to direct it. So when you see a comic say retarded or make fun of them, be like, you are not going to make fun of my child and I'm going to come after you.
Yeah.
So now they have a place to direct their frustration and their anger. And that's all I can come up with is why are you so mad? And the way I used to describe it is like, I didn't put my cousin down. I didn't say I got a retarded cousin. I put her down. I was just describing her. I got a cousin Joey. He's tall. I'm just describing my cousin Joey. He's tall. I got a cousin Tina. I said, she's retarded. I didn't put her down. I didn't say I'm better than her. I didn't say I don't love her. And I think that's where the frustration comes from. They're like, this is a financial, emotional. This is a toll on me for the rest of my life. And to the extent of when I'm gone, then what happens to my child? That's a toll. Like, that's a bigger toll. Like, if I pass away, then my child's really, really out there on their own.
It's gotta be. I mean, my kids are. I can't imagine what they're gonna do when I'm not here. And I guess my kids are what you'd say are fucking just average kids. Mm-hmm. And I can't imagine that they're gonna ever get fucking jobs. Yeah,
but they will.
I know, but
they'll work it out.
I don't even know about Isla, but yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, I was in an All Black Cub with Riddles in Chicago.
Chicago, yeah.
And someone said
recently?
No, this is a long time ago. And someone said this is just how I went through that period of like that. Someone said I was bombing. It was predominantly black and like old school Italian. And someone yells from the back, "Tell a retard joke." And I just didn't have one. I didn't have any. Like, trust me, I'm being very candid. If I had any joke to get out of that fucking situation, I would have told it in a fucking heartbeat. And I didn't have one. And then I just said to the audience, I said, you know what? I don't have any jokes like that. I have 2 kids, and they're very stressful, and they're very tough to deal with. And if you spent your night, your hard-earned money to come see me tonight, and you have a special needs kid, I wouldn't want to ruin that night for you, so, right? I think a lot of people groan or whatever. I get off stage, and there's this fucking Italian guy that is maybe 6'6", fucking 300 pounds, and he's waiting for me in the back. And I'm like, oh my God. And his wife comes up and she goes, "My husband only talks angry. He's not angry. I just want you to know." And I was like, okay. And I walked back and he's like, "We just got a kid. He's special needs. Let me tell you something. If you had made a joke about him, I would have ripped your fucking head off." And I went, note to self, never tell a fucking joke. I was like, okay. And that just set precedence for that. I was like, I'll never tell a joke like that. But then there was I saw Tosh had a joke about like, about the Special Olympics just destroying it.
Yeah.
And
that's why I think that Italian guy, you know, he doesn't know where to direct his anger. And they feel like, what I realized when I met those advocates, I think they feel like we're protecting them because they always say they can't protect themselves. And my argument with them was, you guys keep telling them they're less than. I don't. I said, I can talk about my cousin Tina because I see her as she's part of my family. Yeah. I go, so stop telling them that they're defenseless. Stop telling them they can't defend themselves. I go, clearly they can. I'm sitting here talking to them.
It's one of those, like, it's just, I don't know. I there's definitely words I've tried to take out of my language, but then they're not gone forever. Like, even the N word is one of them. Like, I don't say the N word. I don't use the N word. Last night I was singing it.
Singing it.
Yeah. Running. I was jogging, listening to Killer Mike.
Yeah.
And I was listening to Killer Mike, and then I was listening to Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangster. I put that on repeat, and it's a 10-minute mile. And I just sing it over and over again. I actually thought to myself, and I made a joke about this on my last special, saying, you can't say it, but I think you can sing it. I even said this. I think I said it to Big Boy from Outkast, and not everyone agrees with that. They don't think you can sing it, and I understand that. I totally understand that. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna stop me from being in my car singing lyrics that are inspiring me and getting me pumped up to go work out? Like, I don't know. I don't know how to help you. I don't know what you're looking for. Are you looking for me to change all of a sudden? Like, and even the N word or the F word, faggot. Yeah. Like, I mean, like, all these words. It's not like I didn't ask to ever hear any of them. I wasn't born with hatred in my heart. It was a word that showed up and you heard, and then you're like, and now that word's on you. And it's like, and so it's, all I can say is I'll try harder to be better and not say words that offend people, but I can't promise anything.
That's why I told those advocates when they met with me, they wanted me to put in writing.
What?
That I would never do a special needs or say that we're retarded again. And I said, I can't do that. I said, what I can do is promise I'll take your feelings into account if I ever do another joke. I said, my cousin might do something funny next week.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I'm not going to talk about it.
And what are you going to say? My cousin Tina
Well, I do a joke now where I go after I met with the advocates. I was like, so now I.
Oh, immediately as soon as you met with them, you're like, this is gonna be a bit.
Yeah.
Like, oh, by the way,
one
by the
girl
way.
called it. The one girl goes, I feel like you're gonna make fun of us. Like, no, not immediately. But like I said, I had to go back to my cousin, and I said, literally my cousin Tina, I go, what happened? And I go, I had to meet with these advocates because they said they were retarded, and I said, you're retarded. She goes, but I am. I said, no, you're not anymore. You're special needs. She goes, so I'm not. I thought I was retarded. I go, nope, you're special needs. So I said, she's goddamn confused now because she don't know what she is.
Yeah, it's an interesting. It's interesting. It's like this. I think I'm not. I can't remember exactly what Segura's bit was, but I think it was reflective. I think him and Stanhope had very similar bits at the time, and I remember Stanhope's bit a little clearer is that whatever the word that you ask us to say that's the word we're going to use as a joke,
right?
Like, and that's the word. It trickles down. Isla, my youngest daughter, my oldest daughter, Georgia. Isla and Georgia were watching Ace Ventura, and they're like, "Is he special needs?" And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Special needs? Is he special needs?" And then Georgia goes, "You're special needs" to Isla, and I was like, "Hey, hold on, guys. Neither of us can. No one can say this." And then I was like, "Motherfucker!" So now special needs is the fucking word.
Yeah.
And it's like you can't stop it.
Yeah,
you can't control it.
Yeah, I always say there's.
So wait, what was the end? What was the end of it? You go out there, you meet with them, and then
what it was they came at me so aggressively because I had the reality show coming out on BET.
Oh,
so they were like, we're gonna contact the sponsors. We're gonna contact McDonald's and all this other thing, and so that's why I had to meet with them, and it was.
And BET's like, hey, you got...
BET had my back. It was Buna Murray, the production company. They was the ones that was like, just meet with them. They go, look, we got your back. BET was like, we got your back, but just meet with them. And honestly, it was a good meeting. It wasn't like it was unproductive, but the only thing that got me was I had literally these few special needs people trying to tell me how to tell my jokes. They literally one guy had a piece of paper. And he was a cool guy. I really liked him, actually. And he was like, you said this. You should have said this. And I was like, I'm literally looking at him like, there's no way. Yeah. And that's why I looked at the advocate, because all of them had somebody with them. And I was like, you guys are the problem. I goes, because you keep telling them. I said, you keep telling them they're not allowed to be made fun of. I go, everybody's allowed to be made fun of.
That is a very slippery slope in that equality, at least when it comes to stand-up, is making fun of everyone. Equality.
Right.
The second you start not making fun of someone, that's when you believe they're less than.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I told him. I said, I make fun of everybody. Everybody's equal. You're on equal ground with me. I said, and I don't look at them like they're less than me. They're the same. So I'm
trying to see their point of view right now, because I go, it is true. Like if I went up on stage and I shit on women and shit on dudes and shit on like mean shit. I'm not like women suck. Like people have to realize in a joke manner. Like made a joke about women. Like I made a joke the other day about my wife going to Vietnam, and I was like, I sent her there so she could learn how to be a real wife. And everyone was like, whoa. I go, hold on, fuck off.
Funny.
It's a joke.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah, and so but it's like, shitting on them and just making light of using them as a joke. And then I just was like, but gays are off limits, guys. Gays are better than us. So everyone be like, wait, what the fuck? Like everyone be like, hold on, wait, why? Or if I was like, but I don't bring up like that. It's almost like, I'm trying to think of the right analogy, but it's like, yeah, I used to use that defense when I talked about race. I'd always be like, I'm going to talk about everybody. I'm not going to stop and just go, oh yeah, but I don't know. I always thought, by the way, I've never once had a black person ever be offended at one of my shows. I've had black people say stuff to me, go like, that was a little fucking fucked up. But I've never had a black person go, get mad at me.
Yeah, well, that's why I said it was hysterical because these special needs advocates, they picketed my show in Baltimore. I was at the Royal.
They got there and they were like, well, there are a lot of black people.
I was writing the joke. I opened with it because they're trying to block the entrance. It was the Royal Farms Arena.
It looks a lot like you're protesting black people.
Yeah. So they got these picket signs, and it said #bully, #we are not a punchline, and they're all in front of this arena marching, right? And they're trying to tell people, don't go in there. And I literally parked in a parking garage across the street so I could look down. I wanted to see this play out.
Yeah.
So I'm looking out, and it was hysterical because, about shows at 8, 7:30, people aren't really getting there yet.
Oh, fuck. They're trickling, by the way, I love what you just said. I love that. Only comics know that it's an all-black audience. It's not 7:30. Yeah. It's not packed out.
Right. So they're thinking, this shit's working. Our protests work. Nobody's coming. I'm telling you, about 8:05, it looked like an episode of The Walking Dead. There were just black people coming from every direction.
Oh, my God.
That protest ended so fucking fast. They were like this, okay, what time to go? They put their picket signs down. They was out. That was like this. I guess you guys should have researched a little better.
They just
should have known my audience.
That's
you know what I mean?
Fucking, man,
like 4,000 black people was coming. They was getting in that arena.
In a weird way, and I this is just a thought, everybody, but it's like black people are a tad bit impervious to boycotts and because they've gone through so much shit. They just are like, huh? And if you're a white person getting offended in front of a black person, that's what I always think. The biggest thing that's been driving me nuts is white women, like white feminists, being called out for racism and kind of like co-opting oppression. Like we have been oppressed, and you always see black guys go, hold on 1 second. Were you enslaved? Were you brought over in boats? Hold on 1 second. Yeah.
You haven't been pulled over
for no
reason.
How bad is your life? I'm sorry.
Right.
You're not noticing that we're getting shot in the fucking streets today?
Or I have a new Range Rover that I busted my ass to get. I'm getting pulled over because how could I have that at 30 years old?
It is my biggest one. I hesitate to even say this, only because I know it would cause a shitstorm. But Amy Schumer's boycotting Super Bowl ads only after Rihanna said, by the way, just said on her own, I'm going to boycott it. Didn't write an article, didn't do a Facebook post, didn't do an Instagram post. They asked Rihanna to do the halftime, and she goes, no, I stand with Colin Kaepernick. She just said it to the people booking her and her agents and whoever listened at the time. She didn't make a big deal of it. She went, no, I'm boycotting. Mm-hmm. Amy Schumer, who I like, I'm not shitting on Amy. I'm just saying this is the problem with white feminism.
Yeah.
Sees what Rihanna did and goes, I'm doing that too. I'm not doing any commercials. I'm not doing any commercials. And I'm like,
did we ask you?
Yeah, no one even asked her to do a commercial. But she saw that it worked for Rihanna.
Right.
And then, dude, white people have done that to black people throughout fucking history. As a black person makes a statement and white people go, I'm on that time. I'm on that team. Dude, it fucking made me crazy. I watched that and I go,
I didn't look at it like that.
Dude, all I saw was like, I go, Rihanna is boycotting the Super Bowl. And then I was like, oh, that's cool. And then the very next thing was Amy Schumer's boycotting the Super Bowl. And she goes, wouldn't it be? And then it's like, oh, I'm sorry. Because you're white, you get a... look, and I like Amy. I'm not shitting on her. And look, if she's... I don't ever stand up for... I don't ever believe it's my position to try to stand up for a black man. I think a black man's a grown man. If he wants to stand up for himself, he can. I will hear him out. I don't know about... I'm not good at being an ally or an advocate or whatever. I just listen to people and I help form my opinion. And then as a grown man, I go through life that way. Mm-hmm. Like, that's how I work. I don't ever go, Colin Kaepernick is doing this, and then I try to co-opt his fucking statement. Mm-hmm. Like, it was a little shady to me.
Yeah.
But I don't know how we got on that fucking subject. I could talk about black people. I could do a whole podcast. Tom Segura and I wanted to do a podcast on black people because I think there is a whole group of white people that are just obsessed with the culture.
Without question.
Dude.
I mean, black culture is more than any other of the trendsetters. We follow suit. And to the extent of we're in the entertainment business, I think it's always amazing how, Hollywood entertainment is supposed to be ahead of the games. But there's really behind.
Dude, don't even get me started.
Because I'll tell you a perfect example. Bernie Mac did the Kings of Comedy.
Oh my God. I just said this to someone in a car service yesterday. He goes, he said something about comedy. I said, comedy's actually blowing up right now. And he goes, what do you think started it? And I said, I got to be honest with you. I really think it was the Kings of Comedy. I said the King's Comedy put stand up on a brand new platform. You know, it just said we're big, we're celebrities, you don't know us, but we're great.
Right.
And then I was in Omaha. I was talking to my driver taking me in Omaha, the same guy that Colleen has everyone take. And I said King's Comedy, and then the blue collar guys came up, and then it was Queen's Comedy, Latino King's Comedy, Brown, Black, or whatever that was going on right now. But it really took things to the next level. Keep going. I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt. Everyone's fucking losing their mind that I interrupt nonstop.
Oh, no, I don't mind it. No, but Bernie did Kings of Comedy. And like a month later, I'm looking at Variety, and it said newcomer, Bernie Mac gets a Fox Holding deal. Yeah. And I went, newcomer? He did the Universal Amphitheater for the last 5 years and sold it out.
Yeah.
And you're just getting wind. You know, he's a newcomer to you. I'm like this. They're just so far behind.
Dude, I just saw D-Ray is hosted the
BET Hip Hop Awards.
BET Hip Hop Awards. And someone said something like, who's that? And I was like, dude, D-Ray has been making legit money for fucking 20 years. Mm-hmm. Like he's like, but I also think that a lot of the black guys doing clubs were doing, and yourself included, were doing the business the way that we're all doing it now, way before we were doing it.
Yeah. Well, my first agent, I'm sorry, my first manager, I let him go. He goes, you can't, you gotta mainstream your act. I said, what do you mean? He goes, black people will never pay to see a white guy. He goes, they'll pay to see you on a show with black people, but just the headline, he goes, you're never gonna. And it was crazy because I'm not lying. 6 months later, Eminem came out, and I went, well, there goes that. You're fired. Yeah. 6 months later, you know, I was like this. There goes that shit.
I would have said that. I swear to God, I would have said that. Because there is a weird thing about racism in this business where I was working with a guy, Kevin. God damn it, man, I apologize. I can't remember his last name.
Hart?
No. Yeah.
That'd have been funny. Oh, yeah.
That's
Pollock.
It. Yeah.
Kevin McHale.
God, Kevin.
James?
No, he was out of...
I don't know how many Kevins are.
He's out of Chicago, but he's very funny.
Klein?
No, I wish.
I didn't realize how many Kevins are in this business.
A lot of Kevins.
Costner?
Yep, that's it. And so, by the way, I knew 2 Kevin Kleins. The
guy was in Chicago.
He was in Chicago. I'm trying to remember his last name. And he was black, clean, and super fucking likable. Like, just the most likable guy. And he murdered. And he was hosting. And we were in Schaumburg. And halfway through the week, he wasn't being a dick. He was just being real. We're back. We're having a drink, maybe. I know I'm definitely having a drink. And he said something about them switching it up. Why wouldn't they switch it up? Because he's definitely having better sets than I am. And I have to do an hour. And by the way, it's an all-white audience. And someone said in passing, I doubt, whoever, it wasn't the owner, it was just like a waitress or something, said something like, no, you are funny, but these people would never buy a ticket to see a black guy. And he was like, what? And then we kind of did the math in our head, and we're like, yeah, that is a weird ticket to sell, because if you put a black face on a marquee and you go, this weekend is this guy, black guy, a lot of white people go, oh, that must be for them.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think that's...
Black people are not like that.
Well, I'm a testament.
Black people will go to see comedy.
Right.
White people will go to see white comedy.
Yeah, there's testament to that, because I think that's the reason, that's why Roots was, when the first one was so highly rated, because white people was like, we're interested. We just don't want you guys to know we're interested. So in the comfort of our own home, everybody's watching Roots.
Would have never done well in a fucking movie theater.
Oh, no, it would have tanked. But the way Roots, I was like this, all those white rednecks, people that hate black people, they was watching that shit. Yeah. It was like, ooh, okay. We can watch it in our home and nobody knows we're watching it. You know?
It's interesting because you go, like, one of my favorite, I remember one time I was in Cincinnati at the Funny Bone and the Levee, right? Is that it?
Yeah.
And it was on Sundays and Thursday nights would be all black, because it was papered room, and it was fun as fuck. It was like, I miss those nights now, because you get to know them. You'd spend an hour with a group of women and get to know them, and that would be your group you talk to for the whole show. It was all crowd work, shoehorning in bits when you could. And I said, I remember saying to them one night, I said, I love Sundays. I feel like I spend all my Sunday nights I spend with black people. And
well, there ain't nothing. I tell people, man, that, the difference between black audiences and white audiences, as far as I've seen, you might have a different experience.
Well, you would know better than I would.
Is obviously your chances of getting booed are increased greatly.
Yeah,
the black audience. But
who was just saying, kill yourself?
But if they like you, there ain't nothing like a black audience like laughing their asses off. Because white people, we kind of stay in the pocket. We're like, we're a wave pool.
Yeah.
At the beach. I mean, at a water park. Where black people's a fucking tsunami.
Dude,
if they love you, they
celebrate
laugh.
life so much better.
And there's no. That's the thing. There's absolutely no inhibition. There's no. They don't care if you're laughing at the joke or not. And I think sometimes that's some white audiences, when you get on racial humor, and they can be uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
They kind of look around like, am I allowed to laugh at this? Black people don't give a fuck. They're like, I think it's funny. I'm gonna be the only one laughing. I don't care.
Yeah.
I think I had a discussion with Lil Duval about it too, and he goes, when he started doing improvs and stuff, and he was like, yeah, I don't care if there's 200 people in the room and there's 10 black people. He goes, I'm telling my jokes to those 10 black people, because those 10 black people are gonna come back to see me, and they're gonna tell their friends to come back to see me. He goes, if the 190 white people, they might come or they might not.
Yeah.
He goes, but those people are gonna be my fans.
Hey, crack those doors, would you?
For years to come.
That's so fucking crazy, because it's true. The black people it's just real. I remember I had a joke. About it's a silly fucking joke. Now when you look back at it, you go, oh, maybe it was not the smartest joke in the world. A few people have had it, but it was they don't make black baby powder. Like, how racist is that? We get the shit that blends in, and black guys got to ghost ride the whip. And then I was like, they should make 9 different shades of black baby powder, call it Magic Johnson & Johnson's. So this white woman got offended in the front row. And I was like, why are you getting offended? She's like, you can't make fun of them like that. And I went, make fun of them like that?
Then she's got the issue.
Yeah, and then there's a black guy in the back, an older black guy. And he's like, oh, honey, calm down. And she was like, excuse me? And he goes, calm down. I'm not offended. And I was like, I think this is over. I think you should listen to him. I have a joke.
I think this is over.
Yeah, I have a joke now that it will be my closing joke on my next special. That is just about white women getting offended on behalf of people of color. Where it just reeks of ridiculous. Because like when I was growing up, if you said something, you were held accountable for what you said, and you had to pay that toll.
Mm-hmm.
And it fucks up comedy. Like, I made this joke about fucking some pedophile joke, and this woman just goes, no, out of the crowd. And I'm like, don't do that. Now that you've done that, it looks like I actually, you're not letting me tell the punchline. If I told you the punchline, you'd realize that what I'm saying is the exact opposite of what you're thinking. That's how a fucking joke works, you dumb cunt. Fucking, how dare you now make me look like I support pedophilia.
The best right now is we've done talked about, be careful about saying the R word, the F word, and you just went, you fucking cunt.
Dude, I say, dude, that word is not coming out of my mouth anytime soon. Yeah, let a bunch of women protest me using cunts, because everyone will go, this group of cunts doesn't like Bert calling them cunts. Fucking idiots. That is true, man. Like, honestly, the only people that like was offended that is 9% has been white people. Like, it's white people, and it's based on.
And I think
guilt.
it's deep. Yeah, that's what it is. It's white guilt. You're like,
how do you dodge that? Like, because I have white guilt. I have regular white guilt. I say fucked up things to black people all the time. Like trying to be cool. Trying to just be.
Well, there's a level of trust, I think, with me now in the black audience. Like when I'm on the road, they're like, we know he's on our side.
Have you ever crossed it on accident, or like tried to take it too far and you go?
No, honestly, no. I've always had this innate ability, and that's just been life. Like, even just hanging out with black guys when I was in the Navy, I knew how far to push the envelope without going too far.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just something inside me. Like, I kind of knew.
Well, I think it's a real testament to like not having hate in your heart. Does that make sense?
That's true.
I think that's part of it. Like, I say fucked up shit all the time. I think I've probably crossed the line, I'm sure, but I know for a fact that there's no hate in my heart. Like, I know that.
Yeah. That's true. I think, and that's another thing too. When you talk about getting offended, I think with black audiences especially, it's like I think they can read comics immediately when they get on stage. Like okay, he's on our side.
Yeah,
he's not about that.
And I also think that if I say something ignorant or something that I don't know the answer to, people will then go, "Oh, he actually really doesn't know." Like I used to have a joke about people are going to go, "Bert, is this entire podcast you running jokes by Gary that you already recorded?" I had a joke that I did, and this is dead true. I did not know that Japanese people could not understand Chinese people at all. Like, I really didn't know that until I moved to LA. I thought it was the same fucking language. I thought all Asian people spoke the same language, or a dare.
Bert, hold on. It's not.
It's not
crazy.
Yeah, that blew me away. Huh. I was with Dr. Ken, and there was a Japanese guy losing his shit, yelling in a line, and I go, and I'm not even joking. I said, "I think your dad's upset," and he went, "I'm sorry, my dad?" And I go, "That's not your dad?" And he goes, "No, that's not my dad. That's just an Asian guy." And I went, "What's he saying?" And he goes, "I don't know. I'm not Japanese." And I was like, "Well, kind of what's he saying?" He goes, "I don't kind of fucking know." And I was like, "Oh, that'll be a joke." It's just fucking based on just not knowing. How's it? Do you party on the road?
Not as much as I used to, but if I do, it's got to be worth it.
Really?
It's got a risk reward.
So wait, how old are you now?
I'm in my 40s.
Oh, look at you.
I'm 45.
I'm 45 too.
Yeah.
It feels weird to be 45 in this business because when we were kids, you were aged out of the business at 45.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Now the business is made up of 50-year-olds. The biggest in the game are all in their 50s.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, fuck yeah, when did that start?
I'm good.
And then all those guys that were big when we were 20s that were huge.
It's weird, man. As I said, I didn't say it. Jamie Foxx told me early in my career, he was like, "Yo, this is the biggest temp job in the world." And this is what I never got about doing movies. Your last day on set, they clap. They're like, "Okay, that's a wrap for Gary Owen." Everybody claps. I go, "Motherfuckers, I'm unemployed."
Yeah.
Clap my first day.
Yeah.
And then you're like this. It was the reality check for me in this business was I get my first movie called Held Up.
Uh-huh.
So I get back from we shot it in Saskatchewan, Canada.
Uh-huh.
And I fly back and I land in LA and I had been gone for like 6 weeks. And I'm thinking, when I get back, it's on. Phone's ringing. Everybody knows I just did a movie with Jamie Foxx. I'm good. There should be TMZ should be waiting for me at the airport,
Yeah.
Waiting on my bags. Car service took me back to my apartment and I went, okay, now what? Now I got to wait for the movie to come out, which is to end up taking 18 months. I was like this. Oh, so when you're done, it's just on to the next gig, hopefully.
God.
I literally in my brain, like, I'm a working actor now. I'm good. I didn't get another movie for like 3 years. It's like this. Oh,
Yeah.
It just happens, man.
Operation Grind and Stack.
Yeah.
That's the whole fucking thing is just, you just eat, you got to, it's almost like working out. You just got to do it when no one's looking and just go, fuck, I'm still doing it. I'm still doing it.
And this is a perfect example. Like I was telling your engineer, like the podcast realm is stand-ups. We got so many outlets now to make money and build an audience. That's why when Monique had her rant about Netflix, and I go, I don't feel sorry for you at all because I've done my last 3 specials myself because everybody. You go to comedy, and I think that's when you say I'm a white guy doing black humor, black comedy. A lot of networks don't get it, and they're the same thing. The network execs is like, well, I don't get it, so if I don't get it, I'm not using him because I don't know where he fits into our programming and how we can promote that instead of just saying this is a funny guy.
His clothes don't look urban.
Or he doesn't talk urban.
Yeah.
And Will Packer said it in that same BuzzFeed article. He goes.
But
Honestly,
this is the second time Will Packer's name's come up.
That's my
someone
dude,
someone just brought up Will Packer. He did Girls Trip.
Yeah, he did Think Like a Man.
Where's he from?
He's from Florida.
He grew up in Florida.
A&M is where he went to college.
Yeah. Someone just brought Will Packer up to me last week, I think.
Oh yeah, he's that guy, man. But he's going to put me in Think Like a Man and Ride Along. But he said Gary would be bigger if he probably was sagging his pants. and had a little lingo to him. He goes, but he's literally a middle-aged white guy that black people love. And like mainstream Hollywood does not know what to do with that. They're like, I don't know where to go with this.
It doesn't make sense. The algorithm
I don't know what
doesn't,
to do.
It doesn't fit in the algorithm.
But now, you know, like I said, I've done my specials myself. Going, you know, I showcase for Comedy Central, and Comedy Central, that's the answer to the game. And they go, Gary's funny, and he really connects with his audience. We just don't know if he'll connect with our audience.
Yeah.
That was why they passed on me. Basically, all the networks kind of give you the same answer, but you can always do it yourself. Luckily, I'm in a situation where I can financially do a good special and then sell it. And luckily, I got a deal. I got a good relationship with Showtime.
That's so
that
funny.
they'll always buy it back.
You get put in the same business model as black guys.
Yeah,
like you're in that Cat Williams business model of like the industry just going, we don't know what to do with you. We know that you have fans. We just we don't know how to market to them. We don't know anything. And then you do it, make it, and you're like, oh yeah, this will work. It's so funny.
Yeah.
That's the same. That's exactly what the Cat and Kevin Hart. Now, do you get caught up into the urban comedy beefs and stuff?
No, I have fun with it. I'm cool. I try to be cool with everybody.
I watched you on your Instagram talk about something. I forget what it was.
Was it Monique?
Maybe
I went off on Monique a little bit. I never called her out her name. I just went, if you got problems with a lot of different people, it's you.
Yeah.
You can't have problems with 4 different people over 4 different projects and think everybody's against you. You have to take a step back. And no different than me giving a terrible table read and doing some terrible audition. I came out for pilot season one year, and I was so caught up in just memorizing the lines. I didn't get one callback, nothing, because I would just think I gave a good audition because I knew the lines. And then I kind of realized, oh, I kind of suck at this audition thing. Like, you know, as a stand-up, once you get on camera and you're in the scene, that's different. Audition's a whole nother ballgame. Yeah. So I was like, I'm a really bad auditioner. I got to get better at this. So I had to work at it, you know? And I think if you got people that are saying you're a problem to work with and you're not getting work because of that, because there's no reason you win an Oscar and you're not working.
There's no reason.
You have to take a step back and be like, it's not everybody got this conspiracy and they don't want to work with me. I mean, you have to take some accountability to that.
She did win an Oscar.
She won an Oscar and killed it. It wasn't like, you know, it was one of them lifetime achievement things. Like, this person's been up 18 times. We're going to give it to him or her now. Because there have been numerous Oscars that, you know, Denzel's was not for Training Day. Yeah. Denzel's was for all the things he should have got.
Training Day was fucking amazing.
But it was like, that was a foregone conclusion. Like, it was like, I think everybody knew Denzel's winning this shit. Yeah. Because it was a good enough performance. Yeah. But it was, okay, we've passed on this guy enough. And he's done too many other, his body of work speaks for itself. Leonardo DiCaprio with the Revenant. Yeah. I was like, dude, he had like 3 lines, but I mean, it was a great role. But I had 3 lines. Dude, that movie, they auditioned for that. Must have been dick. That's a bear cock. Fuck. The audition had to be. Killed it.
You did your job, man. You got it.
I mean, that was like a foregone conclusion. Like, okay, that performance was good enough, but Leo's getting that shit this year.
Now, are you doing a podcast out of your place in San Francisco?
I was just telling you, like, I had a place in Cincinnati, but I have to find a place now in the Bay where I can, you know, do my podcast.
All over, but I would just do it in your house.
I know, but I have to get the right mics and set it up.
It's so fucking easy.
Yeah,
it's so fucking. For me. It might be the best thing I ever did in my career.
Podcast?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I sent you a message on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, dude, I'd really like to do your podcast.
Oh, dude, I mean.
And then UTA called and was like, Bert wants you to do his podcast, and I go, oh, I wonder where that came from. Way to take credit.
What
like, I want to get. It's funny. I was telling your engineer, I was like, you know, I held off on doing a podcast for so long because I thought, I don't need a podcast for what. And then I was like, why am I not doing this if people are going to spend money on commercials? It's just another way to have income coming in that's so easy. And you're just talking.
Even without income, I would do this podcast.
Oh, me too.
I would do it for free because what it provides is, and not every episode's good. Like I've done a couple stinkers, and I have some stinkers lined up. I can tell when they're going to come.
Oh wow! All might have been amazing. That's weird.
Oh. But I go, and some it's me like fucking it up. Mm-hmm. But this is my social media. This is the best social media I'm good at. It's like being able to hang out and talk and bullshit for an hour about comedy and about life. Like
you're peeling the curtain back.
Yeah,
people get to see behind the scenes,
and it's like it's the number one thing people come up and say to me at meet and greets. They go, "Hey, thanks for the free content." This, my cooking show, my solo podcast, and then being guest on like my friend's podcast or whatever. That's the biggest change in my career. I've been on TV for 8 years. That never moved the needle.
Well, it's and that's the state of entertainment too. Is I said it on my podcast when Cat Williams went on the rant about Tiffany Haddish and everything else. And I said, and Kat came across as angry.
By the way, hang on, I'm so sorry. If I don't remember to say this right now, I'll forget it. Do not lose your train of thought. The other thing about the Amy Schumer thing is Tiffany Haddish has a Super Bowl commercial lined up. Like,
really?
She does.
Groupon and stuff?
Tiffany Haddish has a big Super Bowl commercial lined up. And now she's forced at looking and going, fuck, now I got to... God damn it.
But Tiffany has a way to just, some people have that ability just to kind of float over everything.
I love Tiffany. I've known Tiffany for you. I'm sure you've known Tiffany.
Oh yeah. I got a YouTube video called Twerking for Jesus, and I called her to do it.
Yeah.
And I said, "Hey Tiff, this is 4 years ago." And I said, "Hey, I got this stupid song I want to do. Can you come over to my hotel and like twerk while I sing this stupid song?" And she was like, "All right." She goes, "Is there any money?" And I went, "I'll give you $100. Yeah. And she goes, "Okay." So she comes over, she does it, and then she goes, "You think this is gonna hurt my career?" And literally, I know I'm an asshole, but in my brain, I was like, "Ain't nobody know you."
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
We're not even really showing you. You're just twerking behind. Yeah. And then, right when she left, she's just looking at me, looking at her. I go, "All right, thanks, Tiff." She goes, "You got the $100?" I was like, "Oh shit, yeah."
She's a fucking she's Queen Bee of Operation Grind and Stack. That fucking woman's putting together money right now.
Yeah, I'm so happy for her.
You were gonna say about Cat Williams. I apologize.
Well, Cat and he had the beef with Tiffany.
Have you done that radio show?
Which one?
The one in Atlanta with the
V103.
Yeah.
They offered me a job a while back. They wanted me to move there and be on
that lady does stand up, right?
Wanda Smith.
Yeah.
And I don't know what went on beforehand. I don't know if there was some banter going on, but I think clearly Cat was a little perturbed.
Yeah.
And it came across.
What was he doing there?
He's good friends with Red Grant.
Well, I know that him and
he's always in Atlanta. I don't know for what, but Cat just kind of hangs out, and that's his spot in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I think very similar to how Richard Pryor used to hang out in the Bay. And like Chappelle kind of hangs out in the Bay, and then they go up whenever they want, and they can sell out a room.
Yeah.
So when that happened, I went on my podcast and I commented on what I think Cat was trying to say is, don't sit here and say Tiffany's the funniest stand-up when you don't know any of her jokes. He's like, she's known for Girls Trip. Mm-hmm. And I go, and there's some validity to that where no different than Chris Tucker he didn't get famous off his stand-up. He got famous off Friday and Rush Hour. Tiffany got famous off Girls Trips. And then people were like, she's a stand-up? Not knowing she's been doing stand-up for 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
So I said, my thing with that was like, whatever she's done in stand-up didn't resonate. Girls Trip resonated. And that's what really took her to the next level.
Yeah.
It wasn't putting her down. It wasn't saying she's not funny. But going to your point with podcast and stand-up and social media and YouTube, I always look at YouTube like a TV network now. Mm-hmm. And I'd rather do stuff like this than to go audition to be the third lead in a sitcom. Because I always say there's a guy, Tone Bell, who he opened me in Dallas like 8 years ago. And I knew he was funny and he had a good look. And as soon as he got to LA, he's booked like 8 pilots and 6 have gone to series and they get canceled. But I said, Tone Bell walked to the airport and nobody will know him. I was like, and he is killing it as far as like pilots and TV. I go, but that just shows you like this stuff for stand-ups, I think it resonates more. And it translates into ticket sales. Yeah. More than being the fourth person on a sitcom on NBC at 8:30.
Oh, I agree. Oh, I don't think that.
But when we started, that was the holy grail.
That was the goal.
Like, dude, if I'm on a sitcom, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm out the game. This is what I'm doing. Now I'm like, it's almost like the reality show people are more famous than actors and actresses in sitcoms.
Oh, easily. Like that's the crazy thing is that someone said to me the other day, you and your family should do a reality show. And people I respect were like, that's not a bad idea. And I went, hold on. I don't want a reality show. And they're like, oh, it's not real. You can just script it. And I was like, well, I'm definitely not doing that. And then part of me was like, oh, I would love to fucking really badly script a reality show and force my family to act in it.
Well, I
like
did. I had one.
Did you really?
I had one on BET, the Gary Owen show.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You know
and
what?
It's still on demand. But when I was thinking about doing it, and what happened was T.I. approached me. He's a producer on it, and he did Family Hustle.
Oh my God,
So
I love T.I.
T.I.'s great. So I
love T.I. I was a
about
little critical of the Trump video. Personally, I didn't say it out loud to anyone.
He's so passionate, though.
He's so passionate. I get it. So like, by the way, that woman who was in that commercial, in that video, is smoking hot. She looks exactly like her.
Right.
She's getting death threats right now.
I don't think they're valid death threats.
Yeah.
I think it's just people that are...
Usually they don't call before they shoot you.
Right.
They just shoot you.
But I asked, I asked some movie producers.
Wait, how did you get to know T.I.?
I know all the black people.
Dude, that is like
honestly,
my dream.
that's just how it happens. Like they come to your shows, or you're at the same social settings as them. I don't even know where I met him the first time. Where did I meet T.I. the first time? First time I met T.I. was Alonzo Mourning and Dwayne Wade had their celebrity weekend. It was called Zoe's Summer Groove. This was like 2006 or 7.
Yeah.
And I was one of the comics on the show. And for some reason, they put me in the biggest freaking dressing room at the Hard Rock there at the casino.
Yeah.
So T.I. he was closing it as the rapper.
Yeah.
So they came in and asked me, they go, do you mind moving dressing rooms? Because T.I.'s got like 15 people. And I had me and my buddy.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, that's fine. I go, but I want T.I. to ask me. So T.I. goes, hey, what's up, man? You mind? Appreciate it, man. I was like, yeah, man, it's cool. Yeah. And that's how we met. And then he, just stayed cool with him. I'd come to Atlanta and just stayed cool. I'd see him out.
I love T.I.
But I was asking people, like, if I do a reality show, how are people going to look at me in the industry? And they go, dude, as long as you don't come across as an asshole,
yeah,
they know who you are. And I always looked at it like, not to bring up Monique again, but Monique did like that rock School of Love, where she took all those old Flavor Flav girls and everything and did that. And then Sharon Osbourne took it over. Mm-hmm. And next year she won an Oscar. So she basically did a ratchet reality TV show. Yeah. And I said, when I thought of that, I go, oh, I'm good. Like, this business is, now it's just whatever.
Who is the black celebrity that you met that you were the most excited about? And first, I'll start with saying my top 5. My top 5, DMX. Well, I'm saying, now this is my caveat. Walks backstage, I had the set of my lifetime, and I didn't know they were there and saw it. Easily DMX. DMX, just in a period of my life when I was probably like trying to figure out this business the most, that's all I listened to. It would go DMX, a big boy I met, he was like a fucking, I'm really going through a Killer Mike phase right now, although I feel like me and him wouldn't like have much to talk about. Yeah. And then I'd have to go, I would like to meet Colin Powell.
Oh, Colin Powell. Wow, talking about left field.
Yeah, but Colin Powell, like, I heard him one time. There's a long time give a speech with, I guess. What time do you need to get out of here?
I got a 4:30 UTA.
Okay. Oh, then we should wrap this up within the next 5.
Okay.
To get you over the hill. Colin Powell, I saw him give a speech with I think Madeleine Albright. It was on TV a long time ago, and I just was like, and my uncle knew him, said he was fucking amazing. Obviously, Louis Farrakhan.
I met Louis Farrakhan. He came to one of my shows. Yeah, I got a great Louis Farrakhan story. We might want to close with this one. So, Louis Farrakhan, I was on the Tom Joyner cruise.
Oh,
right. So that's all black people.
Just so everyone knows, that's the cruise that Ralphie got booed on and never left his room.
Hold on, that's the cruise where I did it the year before and the year after. So that year they brought in Ralphie, right?
Yeah.
And they say cell phones don't work in the ocean. Bullshit, because my phone was blowing up. When Ralphie bombed, they was like, "Yo," and I was like, "Why?" Because it's a white guy.
Yeah.
They contact me, and the next year, they was like, "Don't do what he did. You better not do what the dude did last year."
What
And I was like,
he opened with an Amistad joke.
He's what I heard was I asked people on the boat what happened because people were there. One was he said to the gist of his joke was the last time there was this many black people on a ship, you was on your way over here, and they went. And then he started talking about what a black woman's pussy looked like, right? And then one girl goes, Gary. One girl was so funny. She goes, Gary, we know you know what a black pussy look like. We was like, when's that motherfucker seen a black pussy?
Oh my God. That's what they held fucking. That's what bothered them is they were like, you're just guessing.
Right. Like, motherfucker, don't be describing our pussy. Gary knows.
Yeah.
Gary's eaten it, been inside of it. He's been all around it.
Oh, that's fucking
that's what I heard.
hilarious.
I don't know. But
keep going.
So Farrakhan is in the audience and he sits right in the front.
On the Tom Joyner cruise?
Yeah. He comes in with his people, the nation, and they're all there. And and this is what I said. I say, yo, as soon as I saw him walk in, I was like, last night is one of those moments you don't think you're going to have in your life. And this is what happened. On the Tom Joyner cruise, they always have a midnight concert. And this concert was old school hip hop. So it was Common, the Fat Boys who aren't fat anymore.
Oh, really? The gastric bypass boys?
KRS One. Yeah, just it was great. Like it was the 80s, early 90s. It was that time. Naughty by Nature and shit like that. And it wasn't we're going to try our new music. It was 2 songs and you're out. So they hit the 2 stunners and then somebody else with 2 stunners. So it was just the crowd is nonstop, right? It was OPP. And and then it was Fat Boys are back. Oh my God. It was nonstop, right? And then it's over and Farrakhan comes out and I go, how the fuck's going to follow this? You know what I mean? Because the crowd went from to quiet. And he slowly, hey, brothers, he slowly gets them into giving praise to everybody, and then he gets into preacher mode, and the crowd, he just sucked them right in. And I got goosebumps, because I was like, now I get it. You wonder, why do they follow this dude? Yeah. And literally, so I'm on stage, and I'm describing the night. I go, I was worried for you last night. Minister? Can I call you minister? Yeah. And then he's, and I go, you were so good last night. I go, when you said we were the first people, I started clapping. And then I realized, oh, you're not talking about me. So I was like, well, we were second. My people were second. We were the first. Yeah, I literally was like this. Yes, we're the first people. He's not talking to me, is he? I go, I was so caught up. I forgot I was white. Completely, legitimately forgot. I go, that's how good a speaker you are. And the only regret I had was, and when you're on the Tom Joyner cruise, you have different dining areas. So the celebrities can dine without taking pictures and being bothered. Well, Farrakhan comes in and all the celebs went nuts. Oh, yeah. And I didn't get a picture, and I wish I would have. I just sat back because I was like, and then he came up and like acknowledged I was funny last night. So that was like, it was just a cool moment. And I was like, the guy was at my show. I was making him laugh. And I was commenting on his commentary. You know what I mean? God and then I did a black church joke, which was a strong bit for me. And it destroyed the room. And I got off. I was like, and he was right there with me. And all the Islam guys, I never seen the Nation of Islam laugh. And the bow ties, dying. Like they were stoic, but they were dying. And then his son was so fucking cool. He had a son that came up and was I talked to him. We were talking about sports. And then somebody told me later, that's his son. I go, no. He just came up and goes, hey, man, he was funny last night. And I could tell he wasn't Nation of Islam guy because he wasn't dressed like that. But he was clearly with the group. Yeah. And then later they told me it was his son. I was like, I didn't even know. I just had like a 15-minute conversation with his son about, the Lakers and the Bengals and shit like that. Just nothing.
Shut the fuck up.
So, that was the cool moment with talking about Farrakhan.
Man. Well, you lived my dream. I would love to make Louis Farrakhan laugh. Only just because it's like one of those guys where he's been around forever. This it's almost like that's a straight up hood pass. That's
why I wish I would have had the picture. I go, what an Instagram post.
Oh my God.
Me and my dude.
Hey! So what can we promote for you? Anything? Got anything coming up? Your tour dates are probably all sold out. I would suggest any white person going to see you. I'm being serious. It's a fun show. It's a fun show. Go in.
Now, I will say, I always tell you, just the website, GaryOwen.com's got everything on there. It's one-stop shopping.
I do everything at burtburtburt.com. You can get my Instagram, my other. Your Instagram's awesome.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
You're one of the few people who I feel like really is in the pocket with Instagram.
Oh, nice. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And I watched you drive across country.
Yeah, I drove the U-Haul cross country. Now, I will, since we're on this suck each other's dick closer, I've never, I stopped watching stand-up years ago, like watching an hour.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of stand-ups, they take people's mannerisms. Maybe not take their jokes.
No,
but
it's very natural. It happens.
Yeah, so I made a conscious decision, like, I'll watch a bit on YouTube or I'll do this, but I'm not going to watch an hour because I want to make sure my jokes are mine.
Yeah.
And I want to... But I will say I saw the thing, and it was on World Star Hip Hop of all things, of you in Lexington, your closer, where you do the money thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I'd never wanted to steal a joke, but I wanted to use that closer.
Oh, you should have.
Because I was
I said
because I was there like 2 weeks after you.
Oh, really?
So I got to talk to the waiter.
Yeah.
And I was talking to staff. They go, "Oh, so cool." And when you, and I don't want to mess it up. You ask everybody to pass a hat around or something.
I said I used to have them come to the stage because people like coming to the stage, but now I pass around buckets. I go, if you give, don't give. If you give, that's great. If you can't give, that's fine. But I go, these people, the wait staff here lives paycheck to paycheck, and we're gonna raise about $1,000, and $1,000 can save someone's life. It can really get them out of the hole. I don't know if you've ever lived paycheck to paycheck, and everyone has. And everyone's like, "Oh fuck yes, we get usually around $1,000 now. Now it's more. Now it's like 16 sometimes." And then we just pull out one of the names. And that week I just started doing it right around then. Mm-hmm. Like I'd done it maybe 4 times, and we pulled it. And I had met, I want to say his name's Greg. But I met him the night before, and he hung out. And he's like, "I just want to say I had a beer with the machine," and we had like a beer, but he just had like half a beer and left. Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Is he on fucking home arrest, or like why did he just?" And they're like, "I don't know. He's just he's a responsible guy." And when he won, that changed the game. And I was videotaping it, thank God. But he came up and he started crying.
Yeah, I saw that.
And he was like, "Man, next week's my daughter's 13th birthday. I didn't have money to buy her a present, let alone throw her a party." And I think he said something to the effect of, "Now I get to be the dad she thinks I am," or something. And that's when I melted down. And I was like,
well, I thought it was funny when everyone started giving more money.
Yeah.
And you're like, "I want to be your daughter."
Yeah. That was it, dude. I always say there's no thievery in that joke because it just raises money for the staff. If you ever want to do it.
All right, well, I'm going to do it. I'm in Houston in a couple weeks.
It's just when it goes viral with all black people in you, just throw my name out, throw my website or something.
I will. I'm gonna be like, I got this from another comic. I don't think you're stealing if you do that.
Yeah,
because I had a bit where I brought a black guy on stage to say the N-word for me. It was my closer to one of my specials.
Oh,
and
I wish I had that.
All of a sudden, they made a sketch of it on Showtime. Had this Chocolate Sunday sketch show, and the sketch was my joke. And I called the producer. I said, "Who wrote the joke? What writer said they wrote that? Because that's my bit." And he goes, "I don't know. We have a think tank." I said, "You can't tell me who wrote it?" I said, "You're telling me somebody stole it." Yeah. And then I go, "The bad part is you could have called me, and I would have been like, yeah." I said, "Just say this is based on a Gary Owen joke." I said, "I would have been fine with that. I'm not using the joke anymore."
Yeah.
I said, "But when you just take it, and then you feel so violated," I go, "and then I know you stole it because you can't tell me who wrote it."
And and then you go, "What? Did you think I was weak? You didn't think I was going to speak up for myself? You didn't think I was going to talk behind your back?"
Yeah,
I had someone do that with one of my jokes, put it in one of their shows, and then to this day, I slam that person. We got to get you the fuck out if you're going to cross the hill.
Hold on, let me order my Uber, and we can go to my Uber gets here. Do you know the address to UTA? I was going to give me the right when I need to be. Ooh, 10% off of Uber X, and that's going to get me there at 421. Confirm pickup. All right.
I'm looking at all my.
Yeah, I'm gonna use your closer. I'll make sure I give you credit.
Yeah, please
2 minutes away.
It's we'll get you out the front, dude. I've always said this. I've had a handful of people that have been like this, but when we ran each other in the Cincinnati airport, I go, not enough comics do that and say hi and bullshit. Bobby Slayton is one of them. where he, like if he knows you, if he sees your picture and he sees you, he comes up and he's like, "Hey, Bobby Slayton, I know you know who I am. Where are you coming in from?" You know, Bobby Slayton, Ari Shaffir. The reason I met him was that we were at a club and he was standing next to me and he goes, "I'm Ari. I think you're really funny." I was like, "I'm Bert. I think you're hilarious." He was like,
That's the Joe Rogan, Carlos Mencia.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy. Okay.
Yeah, God, you're out of the fucking. You're so Cincinnati.
I'm not the loop. I'm glad I got to do this podcast because I was like, you know, I watch yours. Like I said, I watched Theo Vaughn's. I watched Joe Rogan's. I watched The Fighter and the Kid.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's where when I'm on the treadmill, I listen to the podcast now instead of music. And it honestly, that's why I knew you were doing Sober October. That's how, you know, Joe's how I found out about David Goggins.
Oh, dude, that guy's fucking amazing.
Yeah, like I
think about that guy every time I jog.
Yeah.
Embrace the suck.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Like there's so many like intermittent fasting. I think I've gotten healthy off Joe Rogan's podcast.
Oh, I have. I definitely have. I've
had
to quit drinking for 2 months.
Joe Rogan's podcast. Here I got really into Joe Rogan's podcast. Judd Apatow went on Joe's podcast and said it was almost like a validation. He goes, "The loudest I ever heard was at a Gary Owen comedy show." He goes, "I was in Nashville, Tennessee, and I did a guest set, and Gary went up after me, and he goes, 'Am I hearing this right? Am I in the same business?' Because he saw all black audience, and he said the same thing you said. He goes, so I sat back, and I wanted to listen to his materials. I goes, he pandering? He goes, and he's like, no, his material's good.
Yeah.
He goes, he goes, I don't know if I should be doing this if this is what it's about right now. And it was like this validation from Judd. I go,
You're like,
thank you.
Please make a movie. Do a
Right.
a comedic 9 Mile.
Right. 9 Mile.
Called 8 Mile.
We're going to do The Jerk 2.
All right, well, let's wrap this up and get you out of here. Get you over to UTA. Dude, thank you for doing this, man.
Thanks for having me.
This is one of the few podcasts that I've done lately where I've been so excited about it.
Oh, yeah?
Like, oh, dude, I've been saying this for like a couple weeks. I'm like, oh, we got Gary coming in.
Oh, nice.
Well, it's like I never get to hang out with like, I'm using a hip hop term, but like old heads, like guys who are in their 40s that are still doing it, that have been working the road legit hard, have respect for the craft, but aren't. It's not like just like they just blew up off of one thing. It's like they've been busting their ass, and without a doubt, you are respected across the board by every comic.
Oh, that's good to know. And I don't know them. I don't know any of them.
Come out to LA more. Let me
this. I have no idea.
You should go to the store tonight and see how many people are like, holy shit, Gary Owen.
Yeah. I'm like Bigfoot. I'm like, there's sightings from Gary Owen. She went there. There's no way it was there.
Fuck yeah. Hey, thank you, brother.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.